Good morning, indoor football fans. We are back with another episode of Around the Indoor Football World, and we are joined by a very special guest, Mr. Tommy Benizio of Benizio Sports. We have a very, very interesting episode topic today. I think we're going to lay out a lot of the business aspects of things that fans may not necessarily have too much innate knowledge of. And I think it's going to open some eyes and also kind of serve as a kind of a playbook for new prospective ownership groups. So without further ado, we're going to play a quick intro video and then we'll get right into the episode. Thanks for joining us this morning. All right, nice wake up music in the morning here. TJ, how are you doing this morning?
Doing good. How are you guys?
Doing great. Super excited about this episode. We've been planning this for quite a while, so I'm excited to see how this kind of unfolds. But like I said before, we're joined by a very special guest, Tommy Benizio. Tommy is, for lack of a better term, kind of the expert you would call if you wanted to start an indoor football team and you needed a guideline to get to the finish line of actually playing football. He's worked with, you can probably add to this list here in a second, but the Columbus Lions. He was very integral in the formation of the Arena League and several other teams that I'm blanking at the moment. But Tommy, how are you doing this morning?
I'm so blessed. Happy to be here with you guys.
Thank you for taking the time out. Like I said, you're kind of the knowledgeable person to go talk to and get advice when it comes to indoor football. And I don't want to take all the words out of your mouth. So can you kind of give us a background of how you got to this point and where you got into the consulting side of the business?
Sam, I really started in hockey. I'm not sure if you know about the depths of my time in sports, but I was a dumb old hockey player. I was fortunate enough to play pro hockey at the minor league level. And I just loved the game. I wanted to be around it so bad. I got a job with the team in Roanoke I had once played for in the ECHL. You're talking about the mid-90s, so a long time ago. And I loved it. I fell in love with it. I knew immediately. I enjoyed running a team more than I did even playing on a team. And so this is what I wanted to do forever. Spent a lot of time in hockey, and I got a call from a kid who worked for me when I owned part of a team in El Paso, Texas, the Buzzards, years ago. I was running that team, and there was a young man named Chad Dittman who said, "Hey, look, this indoor football thing has exploded. It's everywhere from New York to California back to Florida, but it's not in Texas, right? Where football's king. Surely it would be big here." So, the light bulb from his kind of candle lit mind, right? Our thinking caps were on. We're like, we got to figure this out. So we approached the Arena Football League, who explained to us that there was one guy who bought the rights to every city in the state of Texas with an arena from the Arena Football League. This is even before the Houston Texans, right? So this wealthy guy, you probably never heard of him. His name is Jerry Jones, who loved indoor football, got busy with the Cowboys, never really exercised any of that. So we went to Valley Ranch. We said, "Hey, look, partner with us, sell us the rights, to a couple of these cities in Texas." And his folks, after a week or so, got back to us and said, "No, we're going to keep it." So he said, "You know what, to heck with it. We'll start our own league. We'll call it the IFL instead of the AFL." And my buddy Chad bought their patent wrapper, and our attorney created a game as close as possible to theirs without getting us in trouble. And we launched with 6 teams in Texas, and it grew, and from 6 to 8 to 10 teams, and we eventually acquired another league, kind of in a merger from the Midwest, the UIF, and we created the more modern day version of the IFL that I was fortunate enough to be able to run for a while. So my transition from hockey into arena football was scary for me, but what do you know, boys? The business is almost exactly the same. Obviously I couldn't help with the coaching side. TG, I needed you. So I knew nothing about football, right? I couldn't throw a spiral, and I owned a team in a league. But the business side was the same. And so that really got me cooking. The only thing I left out there is when I was the president and GM of the ECHL team in Roanoke years before, 1999, they said, "We're going to do this thing called the AF2. Actually, it was called the XFL, believe it or not, and it became the AF2. And we sold Vince McMahon that name years later. But I had one stint, the first ever season of the AF2. That was my first kind of just a taste for a year of arena football. And I love it, fellas, right? I'm not a football guy, but there's almost no sport in the world. As passionate as I am about hockey, going to an indoor football or an arena football game, and you guys know this, there's nothing like it. Sitting on the wall, interacting with the players, watching the fans, it is such a special sport. So anyway, that's kind of my background, how I got into this. I ended up owning and operating teams, for years. About 8 years ago, I sold the team that I owned. Look, the Texas Revolution. I don't know if you can see it. Nope, won't allow it, but the lining of my jacket here. But I owned this great team with Tim Brown here in Dallas. We had so much fun. I sold the team after 4 or 5 years of operating it, and to a guy who owned an oil company who in 6 months somehow saw it go out of business. So that was kind of a bummer, but I had nothing to do. So I started the company that I have now almost by accident, Sam. People I knew from minor league baseball or hockey and certainly indoor football said, hey, can you come help my staff, teach them how to do this or that? And it was great, man, the opportunity to go in and help these teams. I fell in love with this. And so now for 8 years, I've had somewhere close to 90 different teams from the XFL to Major League Rugby, hockey at various levels, baseball, and of course, tons of indoor football. I'm blessed to get to work with everything, Canadian Premier League soccer, you name it. It's been a really awesome ride here.
I was not aware you had worked with the XFL as well. I mean, I knew about the hockey teams. Always see you posting pictures from the hockey teams and indoor football teams, but man, a little bit more impressive resume than I was even privy to before this. So always excited to learn more about your career as well. So somewhere in there, weren't you the CIF commissioner as well?
So, just with my current position, the CIF needed a commissioner, and Ricky Bertz and I, who I think you're going to have on here at some point this morning, I was looking for my Omaha Beef hat, Ricky, before I got on. I wanted to wear that on the show. I couldn't find it, and I didn't want to wake my whole family up. So I gave up on the idea. But, Ricky and I, with our friendship, he asked, can you help us find a commissioner while you're at it? Let's say we take 90 days to do that. Will you help, kind of part-time? You don't have to do a lot, Tommy. Just help us to not go backwards, number one. And number two, help us to find a commissioner to take over long-term. So, yeah, temporarily, almost more as a favor, but it was fun. I loved it. Great teams, that obviously now being the NAL, that league has a great foundation with great owners, and it was a ton of fun to be part of that for a little while.
Absolutely. Got a couple comments. One from Ricky. He said, Tommy was one of the people responsible for creating the indoor football league. Mm-hmm. Good morning from Nick A.L. Brian Mathern tuning in. Huge Louisiana football fan, as you can see with the Voodoo logo. And then Wookie Drive said, I would love to see one of these leagues bring back the Texas Revolution. Was such a fun brand.
Yeah.
So he actually talks about that a lot, so it's not just
huh?
because you're on the program.
Okay.
He's mentioned that multiple times. So speaking which, I mean, so you start Benizio Sports and you start doing the consulting side. Who was one of your first clients in terms of the consultation side?
My buddy Leif, now in Amarillo. He helped me a whole bunch, kind of just coming out of, I think so we moved the Texas Revolution into the Star in Frisco. And guys, it's funny. I've owned and operated these teams. I don't have any money. I didn't at the time. When I started the indoor football league, I was on unemployment, right? So not only did I start a team, but I started a league without 5 cents in my pocket. And so the Texas Revolution was a labor of love. We had to run that thing, boys, like a top, because if it didn't make more money than it cost to run this week, literally my family didn't eat. So because I paid myself whatever was left over, and sometimes there was nothing. So, and it was fun, and we made it work, and I loved it for 4 or 5 years. When the day we moved, literally the day we announced that we were moving into the Star, the Cowboys practice facility, and I recognized, for the first time, this team's going to lose money, and I can't cover it. That's when I sold the team. So it was a sad thing, right? Because I loved it. It was kind of a labor of love, but I was excited to do something else, right? It was probably time. But the branding of that, I still have the mascot costume. What was that guy's name that brought it up? I'm sorry.
Wookie Drives. He does a lot of car
Wookie Drive. All right, I love his handle too. But Wookie Drives, man, I have the cannon we used to set off after touchdowns. I have the championship banner. I got the mascot costume. So I'm with you, Wookie Drives. I hope someday we can bring that whole branding back. It would be awesome.
That'd be awesome. Hint, hint, Ricky Bertz. I'm sure it's tossing around in the back of his head at some point. TJ, do you have any questions for Tommy?
Yeah. Speaking of, the marketing side and things like that, what do you see is either the one thing or a couple of things that are most maybe underestimated by new owners or new leagues?
So like when I bring on a new client partner, a team that, I hope I get to serve, one of the first things that I discuss with them is really making them try to make people understand what the foundation of this business is. Right. So TJ, like I've seen, and so have you, probably 1,000 teams, just to pick an even number, that have come and gone out of business over all these years, 30 something years since I've been doing this. And I would venture to say it wasn't 999 of them, TJ, that went out of business because of money. It was all 1,000. Right. Yeah, there's issues with arenas and some teams don't lose or win games like they hope they would. But the reality is, if it makes more money, it's a business. If it makes more money than it costs to run, it will never go away. And so when you start to think about that, you go, okay, well, where does the money come from? Is it from winning games? Is it from taking care of players better than the other teams? Those are important things. What about this, Sam? Should we be a big part of the community? We probably should, right? That's going to help. What about entertaining people? What's the fan experience like? Are we creating lifelong memories for families in our community? And yes, these things are all important, but typical indoor football team, all right? And it changes from city to city, but I have a lot of analytics on this because I have a lot of data from a lot of experience. Over 80%, something like 86% of an indoor football team's revenue comes directly from their sales effort. It's not from winning games. It's not from fan experience. It's not from community involvement. All those things certainly contribute. But if 86% of our success or failure is going to come from our sales effort, where should most of our effort be? Should it be designing uniforms, hiring coaches? Probably in sales, right?
Love it.
So, TJ, that's the first thing. When people understand that, yes, let's do it for the right reasons. Holy moly, guys, I want to talk about, an NFL game that's going to be played tomorrow where there's 4 guys from the leagues over TJ's shoulder there, that were playing with us a year ago. And now here they are on the big stage. Like, I love that. We should want to promote players. We should want to bless the community. But if you make less money than it costs to run, and a lot of these teams aren't like me, they're owned by wealthy people like Ricky Bertz. Those guys, can go out and lose money, but they don't want to. They're smart. When you realize, boy, I lost $500,000 a year for 3 years, I could have bought a Bugatti, right? My wife is pissed at me for writing all these checks. These teams go away. Average lifespan of an indoor football team is less than 5 years. If you run a team in an average manner, you won't be here in 5 years. Right? What a waste of investment and what a disappointment to fans. So it's got to be built on a foundation of sales, TJ. And if you do that, the teams that do that tend to enjoy a lot of success. The teams that don't do that, they very consistently tend to struggle.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And that's kind of why we're here today, to determine what's the difference between success and failure. And you basically just hit the nail on the head there. It's in the sales department. And it seems like some teams tend to neglect that side of things in terms of their infrastructure. So when you look at a team forming from scratch, say a prospective ownership group comes up to you and they're like, okay, we have the financial backing. We're ready to start a football team. In the front office, what would be the first position that matters the most to hire? And then where do you go from there?
Yes. And Sam, that's such a good question. I love it. And that's the way most of us think, right? Okay, what do we start with? Who do we put in place? Prior to that, though, believe it or not, Sam, there's almost this precursor. does my team want to win every game we play or half of the games we play? Do I want to sell, Sam, 2,000 season tickets or 200 season tickets, right? Because if I'm going to sell 2,000 season tickets, I'm going to need a different plan, different people with different levels of experience to sell 2,000 than to sell 200, right? Am I trying to break even? Am I trying to be wildly profitable? And let's be specific. Let's not just set worthy goals, which is what we're talking about here, setting goals, but let's make sure they're measurable also. So when I sit with a team, I put them through some exercises where we try and really calculate what is it we want to accomplish here, right? I sat with a team it's an IFL team. I don't know if they want me to share this, so I won't tell you who it was, but I sat with 3 different family members who own this team. The first ever meeting we had, and one was like, hey, look, all we care about is giving these players an opportunity. That's why we bought this thing. And he gets nudged by a sibling who says, what are you talking about? This is all about the community. We love our city. That's why we bought this. And then the third family member rings in, you two numbskulls. It was almost like the Three Stooges, right? We didn't do this for any of that. This thing has to make money. And so instantly, Sam, you go, well, no wonder we're struggling. The brass of the team, the leadership is all pulling in different directions. So what is it we really want to accomplish? So Sam, the first thing is we set goals. We figure out worthy and measurable goals. What's important to us? Community involvement, fan experience, certain levels of tickets sold or fans in the building physically to create that atmosphere. Win a certain number of games, very measurable, right? Not just have a winning product. If you tell me that, that's your goal. Well, winning one game, you can say you accomplished it, but typically that's not what they meant, right? The spirit of what they meant was something greater. Exactly what is it? So once you set those goals, we build a plan to achieve each of those goals. Okay, so once we have the plan in place, Sam, the next thing is, well, what people do we need in place to achieve those goals? If this is all about the community, let's make sure the first person we hire, guys, is somebody who has that experience and that drive and passion. If it's all about money, let's make sure we hire a revenue driver. If it's all about winning, let's make sure we hire a football savvy or hockey or soccer or whatever the case may be in my work, person that really can handle that. So we set the goals, we build a plan to achieve the goals, then we put together a flow chart and we put the positions in, the kind of people we want to hire. Then we create a job description for each of those people, right? Then we create job ads, which is different than a job description. So we can go out and start to recruit and bring the right people in who will help us get to our goal. Does that make sense, Sam? I hope I didn't want to talk, or TJ, I don't want to talk around the question.
No,
that
was
best answer.
Great. That's exactly why we have you here. What we're talking, what we're driving at, what we're trying to accomplish. So that was a perfect answer for what I was looking for. So I really appreciate that.
Sure.
TJ, do you have any more questions?
Just from your experience, when a league is starting up, do you prefer that they have outside team ownership or they run more of like a one entity style of ownership?
Gosh, when the Arena League is such an interesting project, right? When I was approached by, one of my favorite people to work with, Titus Bond, he's just so smart. The idea was, Tommy, I want to come up with this plan. Can you architect it and make it, actually build this thing out? And it was, how can we do this? I don't care how precious the cargo is. If it's going to sink the ship, we got to throw it overboard, right? We got to run this thing lean. Typical indoor football teams generating $400,000 in revenue, but spending $800,000 doesn't work. How can we run a league where teams can spend $300,000 a year? That way, even if they fumble a little bit, right? If you're a typical indoor football team generating $400,000, even if you maybe stumble is a better word than fumble, even though we're talking football, you can still make this thing work. It'll still be profitable. So it was really, really cool. Part of the plan there was to go out then and find local ownership. So I feel like when somebody who's in the community, TJ, look, I have an investment in my city with my businesses, maybe my political role. I love this community long before I ever put 10 cents into a football team. the passion there tends to drive these things to greater success probably than when it's one guy, sitting in an office somewhere who could be equally passionate. Very, very difficult to understand the daily workings of each team, to be there every day. Are people showing up? Are they making the sales calls to generate the revenue that we talked about earlier? So I guess if I can build a case either way, TJ, but if it's a true or false statement, is it better to have local ownership? I guess I'd probably say true.
Interesting. That was a great question, TJ.
TJ's a sharp guy. You wouldn't know what to look at him, but he's pretty smart, huh?
My wife says,
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Oh man, there's so many different questions I could ask. I mean, so we talked about the front office construction, and you said, basically it depends on your goals. What happens if an ownership group comes to you and they don't know what the primary goal is? Their primary goal is to just play football and then let the rest figure it out. I mean, what course of action would you recommend at that point?
Sam, you're going to think I'm lying here, but the first piece of advice I give to just about every client, particularly in indoor football, but in other sports too, first piece of advice really is don't do it. And I know that sounds ridiculous because it doesn't help my cause. But if you look statistically, this is a labor of love. No one's getting rich from owner to water boy doing this, right? They do it because they love it. So when people, especially if they come in and aren't really sure what they're trying to accomplish, it becomes even easier to say, hey, look, just make sure you're doing the right thing for the right reasons, because this isn't easy. It's a hard business. It's hard to make money. You're going to have coaches and players calling you at 3 a.m. with broken down buses and, things that people who can really afford to do this, Sam, they're not used to that. I'm working with a client in the AF1 right now. One of the teams I'm working with, these people are so awesome. But this guy owns this multi-million-dollar business with many, many employees, hundreds probably. And he says, I have more drama with the 6 people on the football side of my football business than I do with collectively with the 100+ employees I have in my other company. And it's not that we're bad people in our business or anything, but there's just an innate A-type personality and just the conflict between making money and winning football games, those sorts of things that just tend to lend to a lot of drama, right? So I would hope somebody coming in, I can help guide them to figure out, why are you doing this? What is it you really want out of this? Because if I understand that, I can help build the plan to get you where you want to be. If you have no clue where you're going, how do you get there, Sam, right?
Great point. TJ, do you have any more questions? And we'll probably have to wrap it up after this. So these be our final ones.
Yeah. We kind of go through back and forth with this all the time on the network. I think really fans in general do. Do you think in today's just economy, today's world, there can ever be any kind of a marketing campaign like there was back in the early 2000s that brought arena and indoor football to its peak? Do you think we can kind of see that again at any point in the future?
Mm-hmm. It was fun back in the day when we had the AF2. You looked at David Baker standing there pretty much saying, hey, we're going to be the 5th major league sport, spending $100,000 a game to be on whatever network at the time, ABC, NBC, ESPN. I think they hit all of them. It was fun, right? People got to know the Arena League, right? I think that those were fun times. I just don't know where we fit in the world of football, if it's realistic to think that you'd get to be a 5th major league sport, right? Although I say that, if you asked me 20 years ago, would the MLS be where it is today, I probably would have said no. So I guess while anything is possible, TJ, I guess my gut tells me that the world of indoor football has a place, and I hope it always will. But I think that place is probably somewhere, a hair maybe below some of these, a major league sports league. There's a niche to it. There's a weirdness to it. And people love it. People embrace it. But I think it's probably right where it needs to be.
I love that. I love that. That's it's an interesting fact. With that in mind, I mean, obviously, the it seems like every league wants a TV deal, right?
Yeah.
So how have you gone about trying to facilitate those partnerships in the past? I know the TAL has had some interesting partnerships with where they broadcast their games and stuff like that. So how do you go about picking a partner and facilitating those relationships?
Yeah, I think the perception to the general public, particularly sports fans, football fans, is that, without a TV deal, we're almost not legitimate. Um, so when you look at how the NFL does it, with more than half of the team's revenue coming from these TV deals, it makes sense. There's enough people watching it where they can sell enough advertising to monetize that. With the Arena Football League spending $100,000 back in the day, and I'm using general numbers, I don't remember the specifics, but it was something like that. But they would make that investment, and it was New York playing LA, and no one watched, guys, right? So how do you go and convince Wendy's to spend a lot of money to promote their locations when no one's watching it on the broadcast? So when we had the IFL back at that same time frame, we kind of recognized that if no one's watching New York play Chicago, who's going to watch, San Angelo play Sioux City? We're probably not going to get that kind of broadcast. So I hate that this is the case. I wish it was about winning games, promoting players, and entertaining fans first. But the reality is it's a business. You can't spend $1 to make 25 cents back long term. You just can't. So it becomes really difficult for a league to pay a lot of money to broadcast their games on a network that has the perception of being bigger. In the long run, it just doesn't work. So with the IFL back in the day, we had this group, America One, who was only in like 30% of households, but they paid for everything. They broadcasted games. So we were saving $100,000 a week, but we got, a quarter of the results that, into a quarter of the number of households that the Arena Football League did. So now with the streaming options, it's not a lot of people are flipping through the TV, the 10 channels we used to have, right? People have a million channels. They're seeking out the content. If they want to watch an Omaha Beef game, they're going to find it, right? If it's available online, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on the NAL's private network or channel, people are going to find it. So in my mind, it's the landscape as it is. This isn't the time to go and invest to broadcast these games. How can we do it in a manner where we can get the content to people without getting ourselves deeper into that hole where we're spending too much money? And I think most of the leagues do a great job. And so can you guys, right? Which league can you not watch a game if you want to? Right, they're there, right? We can go watch them, and guys like us seek that out, right? Because we love this stuff. Our fans are the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple comments here that I thought were pretty apt to what you were saying. It'll never get back to the way it was, where people are just burning money hand over fist to make it get in front of people. Not how the landscape of indoor football is today. He also mentions the IFL network paywall.
Mm-hmm.
Ricky says, Tommy, talk about mistakes owners make in this business where they would never make the decisions they make in their regular business, but for whatever reason, toss that aside in this business.
No, that's true. So think about, and again, I don't want to discourage anybody or make our business sound bad, but I mean, come on, TJ, name another business where 90% or more of the participants lose money, but they keep doing it. I don't know if there is anything and it's not just indoor football, by the way. It's all of minor pro sports at this level. Sam, there's an old saying: how do you make a small fortune in minor pro sports? You start with a large fortune, right? Joke obviously, but you get the point, right? So I think that's what Ricky's getting at. So people will say, okay, look, I own this business. It makes a ton of money and I love it, but I got this other business and it loses money. And the biggest problem is the participants, because they have greater and greater needs and they want me to spend more and more money when I'm not making money. But you know what? I'm not going to take a straight bus. I'm going to spend 3 times as much for a sleeper bus anyway because my coach asked me to. Like, it just doesn't make sense, right? People don't treat it like a business. But maybe that's a good thing for the fans, right? Because that's why they do it. Because they have that passion, they'll go and they'll make those mistakes that I think Ricky is referring to, and he could correct me when he gets on if he meant something else. But with the ego and the passion on this, people. I once asked a question when I was the commissioner of the Indoor Football League of some of the owners. It was kind of an icebreaker in one of the league meetings. Would you rather win a championship and lose $100,000, right, or come in last place and profit $100,000? Most of them chose the latter. Right? But a whole bunch of them said, no, I would rather lose $100,000, right? Winning is so important to me that I'm not going to run this like a business. If you owned an ice cream stand, you wouldn't say, hey, I'm going to buy this ice cream that cost me $100 a scoop and sell it for $2, right? But in football, we do that because we love the game. We love the players. We want to breathe life into these young men. A lot of them need that, right? It's great to see them move on. And it's fun walking around town saying, I own the pro football team or hockey team, rub elbows with the mayor, go to the Super Bowl. So I think the motivation behind this is a lot of ego driven, a lot of, again, I mentioned A-type personalities, and they don't treat it like a business.
Absolutely. One more question for you, and this one I thought was a really good one. Is it even possible to be consistently profitable year after year in arena?
Yeah, it is. You have to treat it like a business. The real key to this business, guys, I mentioned the sales stuff. If you have 3 or 4 people, again, depending on what the goals are and the number of people and the experience level, if they're making sales calls every single day, they show up every day with enthusiasm. They don't get distracted by all their other stuff they have to do because we all wear a lot of hats in this business. Hardest working people in the world, indoor football staff members. But if they come in every day, stay focused, and make time to make sales calls every day, those sales calls, guys, lead to face-to-face meetings with local business owners. If they could meet with those local business owners and learn their needs, every business has goals and obstacles, right? And the cool thing is our indoor football team can help them overcome those obstacles and achieve those goals. If we can learn what those needs are by making a call to them, getting in front of them, having this meeting and learning, and then making suggestions, we will make sales every day, all right? Typical sale for an indoor football team with 6 or 7 games is somewhere in the $4,000 range, right? So when they close a deal, most of the time it's a few $100 or $1,000 for a few season tickets. Sometimes it's $10,000, $20,000 or bigger. On average, it's a few $1,000s. You can almost scientifically break this down. If I make X number of calls, I'll meet with X number of businesses, which will lead to X deals times $4,000, right? If I want to make $400,000, here's how many people I need making how many calls. And I'm telling you, if you do it consistently, if you do it with skill and passion, it works every single time, guys. It's not quite science, but it's awfully close. Every team in every sport at every level that I work with, if they use these best practices, and it's the same stuff the Cowboys use and the Lakers and the Yankees, right? If you use those best practices, the stuff that makes sense and works, it will help you build a product that can make money, right? And the other issue then, that's the revenue generating side. There are leagues where it costs $300,000 to run a team, and there are leagues where it costs $3 million a year to run a team. I don't know if you can consistently make profit, be profitable if you're spending $3 million a year in an industry where most teams are generating less than $500,000 in revenue. That's one of the brilliances of the NAL, even more so the Arena League. You can run a team, at a reasonable pace, and the product is still really good. Fans are still going to come and have a great time. Despite the fact that maybe, you don't quite have the same budget for player personnel as the other league. To me, if it can be profitable and it's going to be there forever, there's some wisdom in that.
I agree. Man, Tommy, so much to unpack already. And honestly, we could probably have you on for a full 2-hour episode and still not ask you all the questions I want to ask. But I really appreciate your time this morning, sir. You are easily one of the most knowledgeable people I've met in my time covering indoor football. And, to do it for you, if you're a prospective team owner and you are trying to figure out the financial side of things, where you need to go first, I strongly recommend contacting Tommy. Even if it's just a conversation, he is one of the nicest people you ever meet, and I am sure he will give you at least some form of advice over the phone, before having to sign up for his services. But I would reckon a guess that it's worth it. Some of the most successful teams that have been around for years have used him, and there's a reason why. So, Tommy, really appreciate your time today. And if people were wanting to get in contact with you, where could they find you?
Benizio.net, and everybody knows how to spell Benizio, I'm sure. So it's on the screen there. Yeah, Benizio.net. And Sam, you're right. It's an honor to me when somebody calls and says, hey, Tommy, I think enough of you to ask you a question. Free advice anytime. I love helping any way I can. And gentlemen, keep your chins up. I love what you do. The show is so great. We're all so passionate about our sports. Indoor football people are special, and you guys do it's really a great service for players, for coaches, for people like me, and more importantly, the people that support what we do, the fans. So keep up the good work. We all appreciate you guys.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the day of football coming up, and hopefully we can have you on in the near future.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Absolutely. All right, we are back to discuss the social media side of franchise management, and we are joined by, in my opinion, one of the better social media directors in the game, Adrian Figueroa. Mr. Figueroa, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, gentlemen. How are we doing? Can we all hear me well?
Yeah, we can hear you great. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And of
if
course,
we're
going to be talking Massachusetts Pirates, we have to have Krish on. So, Krish, how are you doing this morning?
Absolutely.
I'm doing good. I appreciate, you having me on this morning.
Of course, every day, every Saturday, I have to have you here, man. Glad to see you're back. I'll let you kick off the questions on this one since it's your team, buddy.
Yeah, so, I kind of want to start with you. Good to see you, obviously. And, you were here when we were in Worcester. Now we're in Lowell. Kind of talk about the differences in the marketing approach between the two cities.
Oh, well, right off the bat, I mean, there's a little bit of familiarity with Worcester right off the bat. I was already living in Worcester when I took the job with the Pirates the first time. So, you kind of lean on that experience of being from the area, knowing like all the hot spots, so to say, where fans like to go. So, so on and so forth. Going to Lowell, having grown up in Boston, having lived in Massachusetts my whole life, I'm going to be very honest. The first time I went to the Pirates office was the first time I stepped foot in Lowell. So that was the biggest challenge for me, was essentially getting used to, a new city. As we all know, across Massachusetts, no matter what city you go to, there's a completely different type of demographic, completely different type of person that lives there. So it's trying to figure out, what calls Lowell, what incentivizes the people of Lowell. Having no professional teams out there, it honestly was kind of bread and butter, just saying, hey, we're a professional team. That was the foundation. From there, essentially giving them that pride of being able to say, hey, there's a team that is playing at a professional level in my backyard was the base. From there, we start to look for the more, what's the word I'm looking for? The more niche channels. So Lowell's a very cultural city, very big on different types of foods, which I love. I always joke that, in another lifetime I was an lineman, because anytime I could find some food, I'm there. But essentially finding those routes that essentially call Lowell. And again, Lowell being as cultural of a city as it was, being able to work with different community partners, different restaurants. That was essentially a nice little goal for this year.
I'm very, very interested to hear. I mean, you kind of talked about it there a little bit. Knowing your environment seems to be a very big part of what you do. How do you go about gathering kind of the information you need to properly market your team?
That's a great question. I mean, in my opinion, because that's one thing I do want to say about social media and marketing, is there's so many ways to pull it off, and there's so many different results you can get from it. And two different individuals can do the very same campaign, the very same tactic, and get two completely different results. So with me, my two tactics are: one, the research, the nerd stuff, so to say. There's plenty of ways to do, digital research to find out, the type of demographic in your area, find out what other, I call them competitors, but essentially I'm talking about different events, different other community things going around the city at that moment. Because obviously it doesn't necessarily have to be a competitor in terms of other indoor football teams. Once you kind of understand that kind of gives you your a profile of who your clientele is, your fan. After that, I'm also the type of person that likes to go out in person and talk to people. Even though I'm not the corporate sponsorship person, I still like going to restaurants and meeting them, face to face with the business owner. I like going out. I'm not sure if you've seen me, but in the arena, sometimes I'm walking around just handing out cards, you know what I mean, to fans, just so I can learn how they react, who they are, that type of thing. So I think if there's a strong mix of both the digital research, and also that face-to-face interaction, I think that's where you get a lot of success, because it's one thing to have your digital profile where the computer's telling you this is what your fan looks like, versus actually going out there and seeing what it is that calls your fans towards a game.
I love that. TJ, you want to jump in here?
Yeah, a lot of teams, I think, falter in this, and it's the consistency in their marketing and media. Obviously, when teams go silent for weeks on end, people start to question things. How can you explain how important it is to be consistent and constantly communicate and update with the fan bases?
I agree. I think that's really important. Honestly, I think that's something that has made uh, our channels, so to say, just a kind of collective, all of our social media into one. That's kind of what stood us apart for a while. I joined the team back in February of 2020. Long story short, I think we know exactly what was going on that year, and at that exact time, all entertainment, all live sports was being shut down. So at that point, it was a matter of showing the fan base that, we were still around, that we were still going to be sticking around. That was one of my pride points, was being able to get through that whole 2020 season, not being able to play an ounce of ball, but yet still had our social media channels running as if, the team is still there. That's something that has always stood with us when it comes to the Pirates. We're big on consistency and quality. Those are our two biggest things. With us, like, we will literally have, I don't have it out with me, as you can see, I'm sitting outside, but typically every game week, I have a written down, essentially a schedule where I'm like, this has to go out this day, this has to go out this day, this time. Even on game day, I literally have, while all the players are running around warming up, I'm opening up my sheet of things to do, and that's my warm up right there, is knowing exactly what things have to go out at what time. Because again, like you said, it is important for the consistency, for multiple reasons. One, your fans get used to the schedule. I'm sure, Krish multiple times has been like, oh, well, it's 10 minutes before the game, let me check the starting lineup, because that's going to be there at that time. It also helps with new fans as well. With the new fans, timing is everything, especially when you're trying to gain the attention of such a historic fan demographic as anybody in Boston. Trying to crack through those Celtics fans, trying to crack through those Patriot fans it's a tough job. They're loyal and those teams have been around for a long time. So by being able to stay consistent and being able to have things going out at a certain time, it then allows teams to realize that everything's being done on a professional level. I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize, that when things are coming out at a consistent basis with a consistent standard, it doesn't give the appearance that there's some intern behind the scenes running the account, that there's a legitimate professional who's actually making sure that the forward-facing brand is what fans are seeing. So I would say that's the importance behind it. I'm sure I can go into a lot more niche reasons, but I would say that's the one that I focus on the most, is just making sure that the fans are taken care of the most.
I love that. And one of the things that I've noticed about the way you do things, and maybe this is just from an outsider's perspective who kind of is trying to see the successful people in the business, how they do things, because obviously we want to kind of mirror that with how we are promoting the network. But it feels like from the outside looking in, you guys have developed an identity in a sense for what the team or what the fans can expect from the social media. It's professional. It's not quite, say, what the Arizona Rattlers will do, so
okay.
Exactly. There's a little bit of an air of cockiness, but it's almost like you said before, what to expect as a fan from the social media. So it's like a certain demographic of fan is going to jump in and immediately be a fan of the team based on how you approach the social media side. So how have you kind of developed that side of things for yourself?
Well, to be very honest, and I very appreciate you pointing that out, because that's something that we do focus on as well. But to be very honest with you, I have to give credit to Jawad Yateem, the GM. When I got to the team back in February of 2020, I had a complete different approach to how we were going to do the social media. I thought a little bit more along the lines of I have no way of describing it besides saying like younger and quirkier and like trying to be more about the memes and all that stuff. He had a great point where, again, it's something I kind of slipped out earlier, where, if we're trying to portray ourselves as professionals, we need to do that on everything we do, whether it's social media, whether it's out in the community, whether it's anywhere else. We're not saying that people that like the funnier, more like, quirkier social medias are less professional, but we just think that that's our brand voice. When we think of the Pirates, we want people to think, all right, they know who they are. They don't need to convince you to like them. You know what I mean? Like, everything is straightforward. You either take it as it is or you can walk away. With that said, that's kind of been our recipe. We like to keep everything straightforward. We try not to get, for lack of a better term, we try not to get too emotional with our social media. We try not to get like overly giddy about a win, or, too low if there was a loss that we thought we should have won. We try to keep everything even keel. And we just try to keep everything on an even basis. The way in my head, I'd like to keep everything neutral. I like to keep everything where it's not poking the bear. We're not looking to, egg on another team. At the same time, we're not looking to piss off our fans. We're just trying to keep that consistent road right down the middle, where if you need information about the team or you want to see a cool highlight or what it is, it's right there. You know where it is. There, you don't have to dig through memes. You don't have to jump around through that. Me personally, and all my interns know this, I'm also very big about viral challenges, and I'll just say it that way. Viral challenges, I'm not a big fan of, for multiple reasons, but I would say the biggest one is when you follow some kind of viral challenge going on social media. Yes, there's a couple benefits. Yes, it shows that you're in tune to what is going on out there. Two, it does show that you're kind of keeping an eye on what is engaging for other fans. But at the same time, the most important thing that I think people forget is the second that you're a big team or any type of team and you're doing any type of social media challenge, you're now lost in that challenge. If there's 100, 200 different accounts doing that challenge, you're now part of that random mix of things. We at the Pirates, we do our best to try to be ahead of that. We try to look for things that are different. We try to look for things that, people may have not have thought of being involved with football, so that we could stand out from the crowd. I'll give you one small example from this past season. the partnership we did with Galaxy Visors was what I think a very, very small partnership. But when was the last time you've seen any type of indoor football team come out with light up visors to make their players stand out? Not a single one. And that's why I love that partnership. We're going to continue working with them, but that's the type of thing. That's a small example of what I'm trying to explain, where we may not follow the everyday viral challenges or what you see on social media, but we're developing our own tactics. We're developing our own routes so that, as we see year after year, there's going to be some team that tries to replicate it next year. We already know it's going to happen. So that's our goal. That's what we like to do.
I love that. That's a great point. Man, so many different questions I could ask, but I'll let Krish jump in next.
Yeah, kind of entering this off season, right, going into next year, what are some of your main priorities from a social media marketing side?
Well, the biggest thing for me, my biggest challenge last year coming back, because as everybody knows, I took a 2-year gap away from the Pirates. I literally came back about a week before that very first home game. So for me, it was pretty much playing catch up throughout the whole season. Figuring out what wasn't done or what was done in the last 2 years when I was gone. The media requirements, because the IFL is one of those leagues that understands the importance of developing high standard and high quality items. So there is actually a list of things that we have to get to the league every single game, every single week. So this year has just been a matter of playing catch up. So this off season, it's a matter of being able to kind of stretch my legs, so to say. I want to take the things that, I did well back in the day, bring some of those back up. I want to take some of the things that, oh my God, I can't believe I'm forgetting her name right now. And now I'm actually kind of upset that I'm blanking on her name. But she was the media director right before me, who got moved up to the MLB. She did an amazing job in terms of getting our media consistent as well. So picking up some of the benefits and some of the good stuff that she left behind as well. I'm so upset that I'm missing her name right now. And essentially just being able to take the things that have worked for us and stretch them out further. Because as a professional and as a creative who has been around a few different professional leagues, I do feel that we as the Pirates can do more. And honestly, this is the offseason that I think I'm going to try to get all of it out there at once. So that's been my goal, is essentially just getting ready for 2026, getting all the media that we know we can do and expand upon it, because we do know that there was a really high chance that we should have won social media of the year, but we won't argue for that. We're going to try again this year. We'll make sure it happens this year.
You got my vote. I think you should ask media members who should win the media. I'm just saying, but
Thank you. I've always been a proponent, and hopefully the IFL at some point does it, but I do feel fans and staff and everybody else should get involved in that type of vote. But at the end of the day, I'm just like Toby, as we all know. Toby Johnson is one of those that doesn't settle for standard. He wants the best of the best, and he knows that at some point he will get there. That's my attitude this year. I'll let the Bay Area Panthers did an amazing job. I'm not going to take that away from them. It's my year this year, though. That's all. That's all I'm going to say.
That's fair. From a social media perspective, that sounds like a pretty good way to engage your fans. IFL. I'm just saying.
I agree.
I agree. In voting. TJ, do you have any more questions for Adrian?
Yeah, just one. In today's world, we have so many different social media platforms, so many different streaming and broadcasting options. It can kind of get diluted. Do you kind of move with popularity and trends of platforms, or do you stick with kind of like the tried and true when you're
That's a good point. Good question. I would say there's a healthy mix of the both. There is obviously our 3 big standards who haven't changed. Facebook, Instagram, and X. Those 3 are the 3 pillars. Those ones don't change at all. I do feel all the other channels you have to be a little bit more flexible with, and you have to kind of adapt your material to what platform works best. For example, YouTube was big for us when it came to our game streaming. Obviously, with IFL moving to the network, it has left I don't want to say a void, but it has left some emptiness for me as a media director to fill on our channel, our team channel. But at the same time, it has opened up other creative avenues. Behind the scenes, me and my assistant media director, we are working on something new to fill in that void. I can't release any details now, but it does create those type of challenges, knowing that your use on certain social media channels have to be niche, because you can't take a picture and post it on YouTube, and you can't take a whole 15-minute video and post it on Instagram and expect the same results. So with that said, I would say those three are our main ones. And then all the other ones, we try to cater our content to. So for example, like in the next, I would say the next few days, you're going to start seeing a little bit bigger push from us on our TikTok channel. Some more short form stuff on YouTube, like YouTube Shorts. So I think it's a matter of just adapting. But again, just to summarize, I would say those three are our big ones that we stick to consistently. The other ones are more plug and play, depending on what's needed to get out.
Definitely. I wanted to pull up this comment for you. Mike Davis from Vegas, who recently won a championship, says you do a fantastic job with the social media, always putting out content. That. And then he picked up on something you said, plug in Toby Johnson. That means he's going to be the new head coach.
So one thing I say to every player, everybody who ever hit my DM, one thing you're going to learn about me is I stay at least 100 yards away from the football side of things. If it has anything to do with a player or a role or anything, I stay away, because as we all know, Jawadi's team is master class when it comes to, personnel and putting people where they have to succeed. With that said, I do believe at the moment he is currently still our assistant head coach. I, as my personal opinion, think Toby would be an amazing head coach. I think the way he relates to staff, the way he relates to players, and the fact that he can, on a whim, essentially switch back to player mode in order to connect with these players is something I haven't seen in a very, very long time. I think Toby from day one has had my respect, and every day that I see him going from that player to that coach role, it just makes total sense to me. The more I see it, the more it's just like, yeah, that's natural. So in my personal opinion, I would love to see Toby as a head coach one day, for sure.
Completely agree. He's an energetic guy. I think he'd be really fun to kind of follow along as a head coach. But
absolutely energetic, very passionate when he needs to be, knows the game. It's not like he's been removed from the game very long either. So like he knows almost everybody in the league and outside the league. Like he's well connected. So like he has all the intangibles to be a good head coach.
I agree. So I'm going to ask you one final question before we let you get out of here. My
Absolutely.
question is a little off of the social media side of things. When I originally became connected with you on LinkedIn, which is how this all came about, you were posting a lot about a video game that you were creating.
Yeah.
Talk too much about it, and obviously you're still pretty early in the developmental stage, but I was very curious to see how you were looking into that and like how that all came about. I mean, obviously you've had ties to arena football for several years now, but what made you get into that side of it?
Well, to be honest with you, like I wish, I'll just start off by saying I wish I had more time in the day just to be able to invest on that. Unfortunately, it's become more of a side project, only because of how much has to be done, on my 9 to 5, so to say. With that said, though, I've always been passionate in terms of like creating. As you guys can see on my portfolio, like I dive anywhere from digital art to, actual traditional art to, 3D rendering. But the video game came up after joining the Pirates and sitting in that 2020 season, and kind of I took that whole year as essentially a learning season for IFL arena as a whole. As somebody who grew up in Boston, I didn't really have too much exposure to arena football. So when I learned about it, obviously there was a large learning curve that came around it. And when I found out that there used to be a video game, and how every time somebody posts something about the video game, it's like, oh, they should bring it back. Oh, EA Sports, let's do this. I was like, okay, there's obviously a need. Having worked in arena as long as I have, it's obviously become, a passion of mine. So I just put 2 and 2 together. So in my free time, yes, I'm trying to develop an indoor/arena football game. The goal is to essentially have it be non-exclusive to a certain league. The goal is that all leagues can join in, and fans can essentially choose which league to play with and essentially adapt the game to those rules. So hypothetically, Again, I'm very far off, so there's a lot to do. But hypothetically, somebody will be able to pick the 2021 Massachusetts Pirates and have them go against the, 2024 Albany Firebirds if they wanted to. And let's say they want to put the Nets, they can put the Nets. If they don't want the Nets, they can play in the mall. You know what I mean? Like all those customization options should be open. But again, I'm so far off. Right now, it's a project on my own. Eventually, when I'm able to get a stronger schedule locked in, when I think I can put a little bit more time into that, I'll probably open up the team, get a few more people involved. But at the moment, it's more just a side project, a life project, passion project on the side.
All right, we're having a few team owners on. You all have some influence in your leagues. Maybe kick that idea around in your leagues, because I think it's a great idea. So, excuse me. Would love to see a video game come back. I know it'd be very popular amongst the fans. So I was very excited to see that side of things when I first did with you. But
I agree. And being somebody who's played video games quite a bit, like the whole goal was to do something different, because Arena on its own is already a niche. So I wanted something that drew people aside. Now this is exclusive for this interview. This is something I've never told anybody else. So I'll just let it out here. The goal is essentially for this not to be just a video game, but essentially another arena/indoor experience for fans. So the ultimate goal is to be able to sign deals with the different leagues where teams can actually provide e-commerce setups in the game itself. So what that means is if you're decided you wanted to pick, let's say, the Omaha Beef, and as you're running around your stadium, one of your fans goes into the like shopping area. Essentially, real items can be placed there if people want to actually purchase them through the video game. So like if you're deciding you want to play against the Pirates, and you go into their arena and you actually, with your character, by the way, I'm talking about your avatar, you run up to the little pro shop and you see, okay, well, they have a t-shirt there and they're selling the t-shirt for $30 and they can ship it to me in a week. You can buy it there, and then a week later, the t-shirt's at your door. The way I see it is I want this to be an experience that entails not only just like a Pirates game day experience, but an experience of the game as a whole, and then also allow teams and leagues to kind of work together to build up the sport even further. Yes, there's ways to make a little bit of money here and there. You can sell t-shirts, you can do whatever. Maybe we do jersey raffles and stuff through the game itself. But the whole point is just to bring the sport together to help build it out further. Because as we all know, what do we have? 8 different leagues right now. And out of those 8 leagues, every league has at least 3 to 4 teams that are like fully dedicated, fan heavy, like everybody knows that team. So if all of those came together, I think we have a pretty strong product.
I would agree. And here's another idea, which we could probably go all day with ideas, but he says sell alternative uniforms and have the teams.
I like that.
There's so many different ways.
Teams, so absolutely.
That's genius.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for your time this morning, sir. I don't want to take up too much of it, but would love to have you back on at some point when you're further along in the process to talk just about the game, because I think that could be a whole episode in itself.
Now you're kind of guilt tripping me into getting more work done on it, so I think I'm gonna have to.
Well, I mean, I don't know that there's really
I'm hyped about it all of a sudden.
I don't know.
It is a good guilt trip. It is a good guilt trip. Trust me.
That's awesome. I don't know if we could help, but if we could, keep us in mind. We'd love to help make that happen any way we can.
I got you, gents.
But
I got you guys. Thank you.
And best of luck in 2026.
Thank you, guys. Take care of yourselves. All right. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
All right. No worries. Take care.
All right, we are back with another special guest, and this man below us is the new owner of the Kentucky Barrels, Mr. Corey Cunningham. How are you doing this morning?
Doing well. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Very excited to speak with you this morning. TJ, I'll let you kick this one off for the questions.
First off, I want to come right out and ask, how did you make the logo for your new team? Because it's, to me, it is different from, everybody else. It is just, it stands out, and it's really just an original look.
Yeah, we actually came about at the AF1 championship game in Albany. We were sitting around the bar having a bottle of bourbon and started just kicking around ideas, and thought the Kentucky Bourbons would be a really cool name, but then it was kind of like a generic term. So we said Bourbon Barrels would be kind of cool, and then kind of got on the internet, started looking up pictures and logos and stuff like that, and the barrels kind of just came to fruition at the AF1 championship last year, or this year technically.
Interesting. So I don't want to. I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about what got you into arena football. You recently did an interview with AF1 Fan Zone. They did a lot of that question line. So I don't want to duplicate their interview, and hope these can kind of stand alone a little bit. So what I wanted to ask you about specifically is your partnership with North Kentucky University.
Yeah.
I am so intrigued by this partnership that you guys have built, because I think this is I'm just going to come out and say, I think this is the future of arena football, quite frankly. So how did this all come about from your end? I know you're an NKU alum, correct?
Yes, that is correct. And actually, we did meet with another arena in Cincinnati, and then they kind of pointed us towards NKU a little bit. I always wanted to meet with NKU and Truist Arena. But when we went to the arena down in Cincinnati, it wasn't really warm and fuzzy. I liked the guys down there. They were great. Then we went to Northern Kentucky, Truist Arena, and it was just like they had the CFO from NKU there. They had the general manager from the Truist Arena there. They had all the people that were there, gave you the warm and fuzzies. It was just like, when you walk into something and it's right, that's kind of how we felt. But yeah, I do think that this model, especially for arena football, a lot of owners should look at. We're getting interns, we're getting support from the university. It's just a great model, and I like I said, I think arena football teams, indoor football teams, it's something they should really look at, and it helps the university at the same time.
Absolutely. TJ, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, speaking along those lines as well, just the partnership with the university is awesome. It's going to be a constant influx of new fans coming in and out. How did, not necessarily how did that come about, but how do you see that playing in the future? Do you see expanding on that at all? Obviously, just joining your local university instantly brings ties to the community for your team.
Yeah, and I have kind of a unique situation where I'm at, because Northern Kentucky University does not have a football team. So they are kind of adopting us as their school football team. And, Jerry Kurz and I actually talked about, if this takes off at the university, that, maybe we help them start their own football team. But yeah, it's kind of a unique situation, but I do think it's the model that people should look at, with the support that we have. Already the students there are psyched about it. We're going to start doing some giveaways on campus once they get settled in. They just started school 2 weeks ago, so we're going to let them get settled in a little bit, and then we'll start meeting and greeting once we have players signed.
Love it. I like I said, I think this partnership is a tremendous. I think it's going to make a lot of sense for the team. And as TJ mentioned, you have a campus full of new fans coming in every season, which I think is genius. And on top of the fact that they don't have a football team, you guys kind of fill that void for them.
Yep, absolutely.
So talk to me a little bit about the 2026 season. What are some events that you guys have kind of planned to try and build on that partnership with the school and try and draw in the students?
Yeah, we're gonna have some Northern Kentucky specific, like we're gonna have their mascots, the Norse. So we're gonna have Norse night where we have alternate jerseys. They are gonna be right on the cusp of getting out of school when we start our season. So we're thinking doing an alumni game where players have this special Norse jerseys and then sign them and do an auction at the end of the game to try and support the university that way. Since the students will probably be out one or two games into our season, do an alumni game and invite all the Northern Kentucky alumni out, and also benefit the university with the auction off the jerseys from the games.
Love those ideas. TJ, do you have anything?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the sport is about being, family friendly and everything else. But on the flip side, it's also about having a fun time and everything else. You guys kind of have the marketing already covered in
Yep.
that regard because, you're called the Barrels and you're going to be playing games at a college university.
Yeah.
It pretty much writes itself. How much excitement have you felt from the community just about the games coming up and the season?
Yeah, people can't wait. When I tell them we're probably not starting until April, they're a little disappointed. But TJ, also to kind of piggyback off what you're saying, just wait till the mascot drops. Then you guys will see we're all about having a good time. We have a really fun mascot. It's being made right now. But yeah, people are excited about it. Even with Bengals season starting tomorrow, people are excited about the Barrels. We're not trying to take away from what the Bengals are doing. I'm obviously a huge Bengals fan. Munoz, Burrow behind me. Obviously a bourbon fan with the bourbon behind me. But people are excited. The buzz, we've been on a lot of local radio stations, and the buzz around town is good. It's actually better than what I thought the reception would be. It's been amazing.
That's awesome. Glad to hear it. Obviously, we love indoor football here. That's why we're here this morning. So we want every single team that comes out to find success, have fans in the stands, a ton of support, and we're really excited about Kentucky Barrels. But a couple questions in the chat here that I wanted to get to. Wookie Drive specifically, can we have a hefty lefty throwing tribute to the late Jared Lorenzen and his River Monsters team?
Wookie, that is a phenomenal idea. We actually are kicking around the idea of doing a jersey retirement for him. Not sure how that would work. That's kind of in the works right now. But yeah, that was actually one of the first things I thought was, Jared Lorenzen and, what he did here, because he's a Northern Kentucky guy, went to high school here, played at UK, came back to play indoor football, so he's a local legend, and we do want to do something to honor him. So yeah, Wookie, great question. That's a good idea.
I think that would go a long way toward further drawing in some of the fans, because he was, like you said, kind of a Kentucky legend, played on, yes, I think every indoor football team Kentucky had for a while there. So love it. Nick AL, how was your experience just now starting with AF1? What are you most excited about for 2026?
So I am kind of a unique situation in starting with AF1. I helped the team out last year, and then the visions didn't align, so I took my team here. So I was kind of in AF1 last year a little bit, but starting up has been fantastic. Yeah, I have support from the league officials, Jerry Kurz, Jeff Fisher, Gary Compton, Christy McEwen. They've been awesome. Anytime I need anything, they're there at the drop of a dime. All the other owners are very supportive of everything. We're helping each other with ideas, on the owners meetings, everybody's saying, what has worked in the past, what hasn't worked in the past, halftime shows. What do you guys do, before and after games? We're partnering with flag football so we can have flag football games before or after our games. Just different ideas that we're doing to draw in more and more fans. It's just been great. I mean, everyone top to bottom has been outstanding and very helpful. Anytime I call anybody, they're there to answer my questions.
I love that. Can you elaborate on the fact that you helped a team last year? I think we kind of know who it is, but
I came in as a part owner for a team that was struggling and helped them get through the end of the year. And then they had a different vision of what they wanted the team to be than from what I was envisioning. So I had a conversation with the league, and they said, you've been great. You know kind of what to do. Why not just take your own team and go to Northern Kentucky? And I said, all right, let's do it. So that's sort of the short answer. I can give you a long answer, but I got a feeling you guys are probably on some time constraints here.
A little bit, but I mean, if you want to elaborate more on that, that's perfectly fine. The reason I wanted to throw that out there is because I think as an AF1 fan last year, it was very clear, to just throw it out there. Corpus Christi had some struggles early in the season, and then it seemed like very quietly they stabilized and they were able to finish out the season fairly strong, with quality players and stuff like that. And I think from the outside looking in, a lot of people were kind of wanting to know who stepped in and helped or what changed and stuff like that, because that was very encouraging from an AF1 fan's perspective, right? We don't want to see these teams go away. We don't want to see them struggle. So to me, and again, I'm not trying to pump up your ego or anything here, but you were kind of a savior last year. You kind of stepped in and helped the league, make it through a season that could have been very tough if Corpus Christi had gone away. So from
absolutely, you hit the nail on the head. It would have sent shockwaves through the league, and they probably would have. I'm not going to say folded by any stretch of imagination, but it would have been difficult to redo scheduling and things like that. It was good for the league, good for me. Some people got the short end of the stick down there, but we finished the season. We finished with a competitive team, and now we've parted ways.
No, I think it's great, and from an AF1 fan's perspective, thank you for stepping in and helping the league like that, because I think a lot of other people, even if they wanted to own their own team, would have been like, why is that my responsibility? So I appreciate that. TJ, do you have any questions for Corey?
Oh yeah, upon joining, the AF1, like you said, a little bit last year, primarily this year now, where do you see the league going? What kind of enticed you to join the AF1 the most?
Yeah, just in conversations last year about sort of their vision and what direction they wanted to go was really intriguing. Talking to the different streaming services, we have the Vice TV, television deal, and they're talking to other partners, namely Under Armour, places like that. And then, also, we have Jeff Fisher. So that's a big thing. And his vision for the league, he's treating this like an NFL league. He's not treating it like any different than he would if he was coaching the Titans or Rams. He's taking that approach to it, and he's kind of put his blood, sweat, and tears into this, and it shows. And you could see his dedication to it, and it just makes you want to latch on and play with him. He's great. Him, Jerry, Christie, everyone in the league office, Gary Compton, they're so passionate about it. I went to a game with Gary Compton, and honestly, he's there on league official business, and he's jumping around after a big hit and smacking hands with people, and it's just like they're so passionate about it, you can't help but want to latch on to them. It's great.
I love that. Passion is why we're here, right? That's what this is all about. I love that. So what really drove you to want to get involved with ownership? I mean, obviously you're a football fan, but I mean, it takes a little bit of a stretch there from fan to owner.
Yeah. growing up as a kid, you've always had, I want to make the MLB, I want to make the NFL, you want to be a part of something. I've always been hugely competitive, even in my other businesses, always wanted to be number one, wanted to, be the best at what I can, and nothing against our local sports teams, but championships have eluded us. And I just have that drive to, want to bring something here, want to have fan entertainment, want, people to have that interaction with the players and things like that. When I saw that last year with AF1, with the kids coming down, getting autographs, it's just very infectious. And it's very easy to say, this would be really cool where I live. The ownership part of it is kind of, it's really cool to say I own a football team, but ultimately my drive for this is bringing that fan experience to the people here. We have a lot of professional teams. We have FC Cincinnati soccer. We have ECHL hockey. We have the Bengals, the Reds. All those teams are here, and the fan support around every single one of those teams is just outstanding. And I just think this is kind of filling that football gap in the summer where, yes, the Cincinnati Reds are playing, and we have a minor league baseball team in Florence, Kentucky, the Florence Yawls, that are playing. But this is just a little bit more fan little more fan interaction and things like that, where it's just very appealing to me. And I think it's going to be a huge hit here.
I definitely agree. Will you guys be doing open tryouts for the 2026 season?
We are. We're hoping we have 2 dates right now in mind. We're just trying to lock up the field here at North Kentucky or a local high school. But it's going to be in October, either the second or third week of October. We will have tryouts, and those will be posted on our website.
Very nice. Very nice. I'm curious to see if you get any diamonds in the rough from maybe other sports there at NKU.
We've had a lot of people register. It's about 200 people have registered in the last 2 weeks.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty good attendance for an open tryout. We have another question here. Will you play the Army theme song during the game, Roll Out the Barrels?
Hadn't thought of that. A lot of people are saying Donkey Kong. So there might be, a little bit of Donkey Kong action on the Jumbotron going on that we need to get licensed and all that. But I didn't think of that. That's actually a good idea there, Pete. We'll look into that.
I love that. Speaking of which, I wanted to throw you a kudos, because you had the knowledge that I was not expecting anybody who was not from Denver to have about the Barrel Man. You mentioned Barrel Man in your last interview, and I was impressed that you even knew who he was.
Oh yeah. Awesome. We've actually got a couple local radio guys who are threatening to come to the games like that. So I say bring it. I love it. The Barrel Man in Denver. He's not what we based our mascot off of, but loosely maybe something like that. But yeah, that was actually a buddy of mine. Immediately, as soon as I released the team name, he sent me that because he's from Denver. So, but yeah, I knew about Barrel Man. Yes,
that's awesome. I'm in Denver right now, so it's kind of funny how that all came about. And I heard that, and I was immediately impressed because he's kind of a local legend here, but I don't know that his legend, strays too far from Colorado.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that was really cool to see. I do have a great question here from somebody in the chat. How do I sign up for your tryout? I'm from Louisville, Kentucky.
Yes. On our website, there is a link to the tryouts. Just click on that, send it, fill out the registry, and then when we have our definite date, we will email you the dates, and they'll also be posted on our website.
Awesome. TJ, do you have any more questions for Corey?
No, I just want to say, man, best of luck, and I cannot wait to see you guys take the field. I'm definitely going to be watching the season.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it, and I'll send you guys the first pictures of the mascot when it comes.
I'm super excited to see that. A couple more questions, and one of them, Sire Brian, I'm willing to bet he's not going to answer that one. Jim Beam sponsorship.
No, not yet. we're not saying it's out of the question, but we have not spoken to them yet.
That's fair. That's fair. Are there any potential bourbon partnerships coming up?
Yes. Yeah. And it's been pretty easy to walk in there and hand them business cards and say, hey, we're the Kentucky Barrels. And they say, okay, that sounds like a really easy partnership. So, yeah, we are talking to a few distillers in the area about some partnerships. And we're going to do some cool things around the arena. We have a beer garden that we're going to turn into a bourbon garden. So some cool things with that. So we'll more to come on that.
I'm very excited about that. There's multiple reasons why fans should be involved and entertained. So I love it. Wookie says, I was hoping for a mascot that looked like a certain Selena 52 truck stop mascot. I'm a little confused on that comment, Wookie. You might want to elaborate on that one. Thank you from YTMAJ, the player that wants to sign up. And then here's the question I don't think you're going to want to answer. And if you don't want to, perfectly
Right.
okay to pass on it. Is Corpus Christi returning?
That I don't know. I will say they will most likely not be with AF1, but I don't know about any other leagues.
Gotcha. Well, that's a nugget of information we certainly didn't have before this interview, so we appreciate that. Just really want to thank you for your time this morning, and like I said before, I'm really excited to see this partnership with NKU play out. I think this is really going to kind of revolutionize the sport. With that partnership, where does it stop? I mean, are they providing you with housing for players? Where does it stop in terms of that?
Yeah, well, they are. They do have a 21 and over dormitory that is for professors and things like that. So we're not commingling with the actual people that go to the university. It's the professors and stuff. So that, there's a little hesitation on there. But when they said they had the 21 and over dorms that we are able to be housed in, we are doing that. Kind of like what you're saying is the line for us is, they're providing us with interns. They're providing us housing. They have a meal plan for us, practice facilities outdoor that we can use. As a first-time owner, I know that this savings for me is just unbelievable. So, other owners out there, if you're looking at facilities, thinking about going into being into ownership, definitely look at your local university or college because they roll out the red carpet. We're helping them by filling the void between basketball season, actually just basketball seasons, because that's all they have there. They have occasional concerts, homecomings, things like that. But in the summer, their arena basically sits vacant. So we're helping them out, bringing money into to the university, and then they're rolling out the red carpet for us. Like I said, they're helping in so many ways: sports management, trainers, production of the streaming services, their social media. They're providing us people, and we're also helping them by getting their internships. For the sports management people, this is real life experiences and education. So yeah, like I said, it couldn't have gone any better by going to Northern Kentucky University.
Absolutely. Like I said, super excited to see this partnership. And another partnership real quick I wanted to ask you about. How did you come in contact with Coach Walker, and how did he ultimately become the guy for you to hire?
Yeah, Jerry Kurz actually said, I think that Cedric's looking for a change from Billings. And then him and I met and instantly hit it off. My other company is named Prestige Worldwide. So he was a Step Brothers fan. So instantly hit it off there. He's an infectious guy. I mean, I don't know if you guys have spoken to him, but man, everybody gravitates towards him. He's just a fun guy, nice guy to be around. And then when he steps over or in between the boards there, he's a madman. And it's, just like Jekyll and Hyde for that guy. But, he's done a phenomenal job. We've had some really big signings before the free agency or in the free agency period. So yeah, he's done a great job, and I'm super excited for what he's going to bring here. You know, him and I talk. The word we use every day is championships.
I was going to say that seems to be the theme of everything I've heard you talk about is we want to win championships. It's about championships, and you couldn't have brought in a better coach, in our opinion. I'm a huge fan of Coach Walker. I've talked to him a lot on camera, off camera, and actually he will be back on this show the end of this month to discuss his decision to take the position with you guys. So I'm really excited to have him back on. But when I heard that news, I was a little bit surprised. I didn't expect him to leave Billings, but at the same time, like I said, you couldn't have hired a better coach, in my personal opinion. So looking forward to seeing that partnership as well.
Yes. It's been great.
Definitely. Well, I mean, I really appreciate your time this morning. We've already kind of held you up for about 40 minutes of your time this morning. Is there anything you want to leave the fans with before you get off here?
Yeah, just, I know we're not necessarily new because we had the River Monsters, but I suggest anyone who's on right now, if you have not been to a game, please go to a game. I saw my first game last year and ended up owning a team the following year. So that's how exciting arena indoor football is. You'll love it. It's so personal. Just get out to a game, see one. You'll want to see more.
Completely agree. Great way to leave the fans. And it looks like you got another member signed up for your tryouts. Just signed up for the team tryouts. Thank you for the opportunity. He asked where's the location, but as you mentioned before, you're still working on hammering that down. So
yep.
Thank you, YTMAJ. Best of luck at the tryout. Hopefully you guys you end up making the team. That'd be awesome to see that little bit of influence there. But Corey, thank you so much for your time this morning. We wish you the best of luck in 2026, and hopefully we see you in the AF1 championship.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. Thanks, TJ. Appreciate it, guys.
Absolutely. Have a great day, and hopefully you enjoy the Bengals game tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Talk to you later. All right, we've got one more guest to bring on to finish out this show, and that is, of course, the owner of the Omaha Beef. So in honor of that, we're going to play the commercial real quick, throw you the link one more time, and then we will get Ricky Bertz on here.
This is Current. It's the card my parents used to pay me for mowing the lawn, running errands, and doing well in school. Oh, wow. This is the card I used when we got the idea to make our own clothes. And we spread the word, drove downtown, and sold everything we made. This is the card I used to do the things that really matter. This is Current. Visit current.com and download the app for free today.
Perfect. So we are back with the owner of the Omaha Beef, Ricky Bertz. Thank you so much for joining us today, Ricky. We really appreciate it.
Hey, Sam, appreciate being on the show. And as many people have said before me, just hey, strong appreciation yourself, Krish, TJ, Coach B, several other people that kind of help make this thing go in this game that we love. So appreciate everything you guys do, and excited to be on board here, buddy.
Hey, well, you're a big part of being able to keep this show running, so we really appreciate your contributions as well there. So as mentioned before, go get your Omaha Beef merchandise. It looks like Krish is wearing his currently, if I'm not mistaken. You got your shirt already, buddy?
Yep, I got both mine. I got one in the wash ready to go for tomorrow, so I'm loaded up.
So I'm talking about. So just so you know, I mean, I got the one guy who we had to probably I'm going to say I didn't have was it Krish speaks his mind, and at the end of the day, I might not agree with what everybody says, but I'll always respect their opinion. So I'm probably the one guy who was probably the last one to become a fan of the organization. Hey, Coach Davis, good to see you there. I'm going to focus on this and not the screen. But so I've got the one guy. I got the one guy repping the gear that was the last one to kind of come on board with what we're doing. So, Krish, thanks for showing these guys how to do it, man. I appreciate it. All right.
There's a common theme anytime Krish is a fan of a team. Coach Negron and CJ Kane are somewhere nearby. So
well,
that definitely didn't hurt.
Well, speaking of those two guys, I know we're going to probably talk on the business side a little bit. I'm definitely incredibly lucky to have those people not only working for the organization or representing the organization. And again, I've got my philosophies on business and stuff like that, but definitely very lucky to have them, but also several other people as well. I get a ton of credit for what we do. I get a ton of credit for what we do, but it's really the work and efforts of a lot of those people and people behind the scenes as well. So, hey, Krish, I'm not happy with the dynamics of what brought Negron to come play for us. The guy's an incredible individual, but sometimes other people's mistakes lead to other people's opportunities, and excited the opportunity to have both those guys here with us here in Omaha.
Completely agree. Two of the best in the business, as far as I'm concerned. TJ, I'll let you kick off the questions here, since you're the resident Omaha Beef fan.
One of the things that I always take notice of first is a team when they show the home field. You see how much support they have. You guys probably have the most support in terms of sponsors on the field in probably the entire sport. How important is that to be successful in arena and indoor football?
It's critical, TJ. The joking terminology I share with people is we're kind of like NASCAR, to be honest. Like every little square inch of that car, they'll sell a decal on. And I'd say, what do we have? I think 16 field logos. We don't have more because we don't have any more square footage of the field. You've only got so many dasher boards and everything else. I was talking to Sam a little bit. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before. We were talking about Tommy Benizio. A lot of what we do here in Omaha is really a conglomeration of people that you're around. And a lot of that's from Tommy, Tommy's a very, at the end of the day, Tommy doesn't care what the average people think about him, more so about what the team owners and the business owners think. And so a lot of our success in Omaha is really from stuff with Tommy, but specifically your point, TJ, I don't care what team you're involved with. Tommy talked about it on his segment just a little bit, but 70%, if not more, of your total revenue comes from your corporate partnerships. I don't like using the word sponsors. When you say the word sponsor, I feel like you're selling Girl Scout cookies or Boy Scout popcorn or sponsoring somebody's little league baseball team. How Tommy talked about businesses have goals and they have needs, and we're a mechanism for helping them accomplish those. And so whenever you recognize what businesses' needs are and how they can kind of work with them, but also your needs as well. Like I said, 70% of our revenue, if not more, comes from our corporate partnerships. What is it? Coach Davis is on here, former Omaha Beef coach as well, last week on the show. And Coach Davis talked about some differences between housing in Omaha and housing in Vegas. And Coach Davis is spot on that, and it's not that one team does it right and one does it wrong. It's just both of these organizations have identified what their needs are, or their needs might be different, but how you go about accomplishing those. But yeah, CJ, we get a ton of support from not only the fans, but from the business community as well. And they kind of go hand in hand, TJ, they do. Whenever somebody purchases a partnership or a business advertisement package, ultimately, at the end of the day, they're buying impressions. That's the magical word from a business standpoint. They're purchasing impressions. It would be no different than I would ask you, TJ, hey, you're going to run a commercial at 7:00 in the morning during the news or 1:00 at night, Well, it's going to cost more at 7:00 in the morning because you're paying for the spots for the impressions. And so whenever you can do what we've done in Omaha, and they're going to have an incredible team from the business standpoint, along with the impressions being the number of fans in the stands, the number of people watching the games on TV, and all the other things that we do, a lot of our partners see a return on that investment, and it just continues to grow. I think you look at Craig and I purchased the team late in 2018, and you look at where we were then to where we are now, and like I can tell you, it's we're going to continue to try to build and grow on that across the board.
One of the things that I wanted to ask you about specifically is if you're one of the ownership members that is more hands-on than typically any other owner I've seen with most other organizations, and in a good way. I mean, obviously you're there on a day-to-day basis. You know exactly what's happening with your team at all times. How important is that to your setup and how it is set up in Omaha in order for you to be very hands-on and know exactly what's happening at all times?
Well, I think really what it comes down to, when I first got involved in the business, I had another business that I ran, so I wasn't as involved as I am now. And I mean, really, it's something that's involved that, I mean, look, there's no one right way to do something. There's lots of wrong ways. And so for me, my right way, ever since from Dodge City and on, is to be involved on the day-to-day stuff. You know, I mean, there's two separate sides of the business. There's the business side and the football side, which I work in both of those, but I really try to focus on the business aspect of it. But I don't know any other way to do it. And I'm not saying that there's not other ways for teams to be able to do that. You know, I mean, it's I just saw Mike Davis on the comments. So Mike, I'm going to pick on you. You know, Mike does the coaching and he runs the office as well. And I mean, hats off to the guy. I don't know how the heck he does it, because my plate is full just running the business side of it. And I don't even mess around with the football that much. So I think it's really just kind of tailoring your business around the skill sets of people that you have, and what that looks like from one team to the next is going to vary. I mean, it would be TJ being a coach here, you know, I mean, TJ, you might have in your mind, we'll just say offensively, I think you do special teams, but offensively, in your mind, you might have an idea of what you want to do offensively. But sometimes you have to adjust your game plan. You have to adjust your strategy based upon what the strengths and weaknesses are of the team that you have. The ones that fail oftentimes are the ones that are stubborn, and they continue to stay focused on this. I mean, I can tell you what we do this year versus last year versus the year before. I mean, it changes, you know, it changes every single year, and you have to be able to adapt to what goes on. And so, yeah, Sam, I mean, this is all that I do. It's a love-hate relationship at times, I'll be honest, you know, but this is all that I do. But so for me, I don't know any other way to do it on the level of how I want to do it. And again, there's lots of other examples out there of people that do it differently. But again, it's been, I mean, as they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, it's kind of like, I know you guys play video games and stuff like that. Like I do, you got a cheat play on Madden and they can't stop it. Well, then, hey, I mean, save that whenever you need it, you know, but no, I don't know any other different way to do it. So.
Makes sense. Krish, do you have any questions for Ricky?
Yeah, you know, I kind of wanted to tailor this question on the fact that you have some expansion organizations coming into the league in 2026. What's your biggest piece of advice for Pueblo, Amarillo, and Dallas?
You know, and I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this, but I will. But I mean, we're not done with expansion. That's all I'm going to say. But I don't care if you're an organization that's been around as long as we're the longest running franchise in the United States. Okay. So whether it's us or whether it's an expansion team, first of all, I think that everybody, I guess lots of ways I can answer this. At the end of the day, there's no substitution for doing the work. Tommy talked about it a little bit as far as we are a sales-based business. We're selling a product is what we're doing. And I use analogies all the time, and I'll continue to do so. But it would be, and I'll just say, I'll pick on Sam here, you know, say Sam wants to look a certain way from a physical standpoint. You know, he sees some muscle building magazine or he's watching the NFL game. He sees A.J. Brown's arms all ripped like they are, or Saquon Barkley's thighs as big as they are. There's probably wide as Sam's body, and mine too, for that matter. But so Sam wants to look that way. Okay. there is no substitution for going to the gym and putting in the work. Now, there are things you can do while you're at the gym as far as better tailored workouts, better routines. Of course, like, hey, nutrition comes into play. There's all these different things that you can do to enhance the results of what you're trying to achieve ultimately. But at the end of the day, there is no substitution for putting in the work. Look, I mean, I'm just going to say this, all right? And I say this all the time. I am constantly complimented by people. And like, so TJ, I take that as a compliment what you said about us from a business standpoint, the fan interaction and everything else. I am constantly complimented by people that, man, it's great what you do. We want to duplicate what you do and we want to be just like you and everything else. And so, and I'm just a black and white kind of guy. When the end of the season rolls around, I don't know why, but teams take off for a couple months. They just take off for a couple months and they do nothing. I mean, I think it was TJ, you were talking earlier about social media presence and people going dark for an extended period of time. Look, I mean, we're in the office every single day on the weekends and everything else. And so I tell people all the time that how arrogant is it of you and insulting to me that you think you can duplicate what it is that I do and you take off for 3 months out of the year. I mean, if I could do what I do and take off for 3 months, you better believe I'm going to take a little more time off, but I'm not going to continue to work, but it just, it's teams get into trouble when they don't put in the work. And I can tell you right now, I mean, and Tommy talked about it's almost like a science. I mean, if you're a month out from your season kicking off, and if you don't have 75% of your budget revenue, I mean, and we'll just use like round numbers. Let's say if a team operates on a $500,000 budget. If you don't have $400,000 booked in ticket sales, group tickets, corporate revenue, and all that a month before the season kicks off, you're in a world of hurt. I'm just telling you, you are in a world of hurt. You are relying on a 48-yard Hail Mary to save your ass, The work we do every single day is no different than this. It was at 3 yards in a cloud of dust. I mean, we're in the office every single day doing stuff, and we're just ultimately kind of just chipping away and working our way down the field, ultimately get to the end zone, is what we're trying to do. But there is no substitution for the work. There might be better ways to do the work. There might be more efficient ways to do the work, back to my gym analogy reference that I used. But there's no substitution for coming on in, picking up the phone, sending out emails, going and meeting people face to face. There's just no substitution for that. And people think that, hey, because it's football and they turn on the TV and they see sold out stadiums and this and that, that's what's going to happen for them. And I can just tell you, I mean, it happens time and time again that's not the case. And then the times that it does, I'll say, such as the Fisher's Freight, who I have a ton of respect for how they did that. They had almost a year and a half before their season kicked off. They had a long runway to what they were building. Whereas, I mean, heck, I'm going to tell you right now, I mean, I got a phone call yesterday, and I talked to Brandon Eichhardt, our commissioner, about it. I got a phone call yesterday of somebody wanting to launch an expansion team from ground zero and play in March of next year. Like, look, I mean, I don't know it all. I don't want to know it all. I don't have time for what I do know, but I can tell you right now, I can't launch a franchise on Monday to play come March and be profitable. And no disrespect, if I can't do it, somebody who's completely green and has no idea what they're doing is probably not going to be able to do it either. So unless you're prepared to write a really big check that you're going to continue to do, I mean, it's just people need to be real with what expectations are, and seeking somebody like Tommy or other people that have done this, it's invaluable. I mean, people like to say that we're successful. I can guarantee you guys, I have made just as many mistakes, if not more mistakes, than my successes. The big difference is I learn from those, and what do I got to adjust where it doesn't happen again?
That's exactly the difference, and I'm glad you said that. And then also, I mean, it seems like a lot of ownership groups don't want to listen when, some people say like, hey, this is how we do things because we have to, not because we don't want to reinvent the wheel and make arena football what it used to be, but this is the reality of the situation at this point. And you can either survive or you can dream really big and fail, a la AFL 2024.
Sam, I couldn't agree with you more. And look, I don't, this is a I don't call it a fraternity, but it's like a network. I mean, I was one of the original people with Tommy Benizio that created the IFL back in the day, back in 2008. I mean, but I know people in every single league, and I'm not the only one. But there are, and this, I'll be honest, this tends to happen with new teams. It seems like, I think it's Staples that has like that easy button, the red button they used to have on their commercials. I'll get phone calls from certain owners, and it's like they have like this Ricky button. They, for whatever reason, they think the Ricky stamp of approval is going to solve their issues or problems or whatever. And I learned really, really quickly, do people really want my opinion, or do they want me just to agree with them? Because they're going to do what the hell they want to do anyways. And I can tell you, I'm just black and white. 90% of the time, they're going to do what the hell they want to do anyways. They're just calling I guess they feel good about themselves calling me, and I'm sure they call other people. I'm not the only one that they call as well. But look, man, I tell it, I wouldn't. At some point in time, I just almost begin to ignore certain people's phone calls because it's like I don't have enough time in the day to do what it is that I'm doing. And so it's really of like they're just looking for me to agree with them. They're going to do whatever they're going to do whatever they want to do anyways. I'm just better off not wasting their time or my time on it. Because again, I'll help anybody, but at the end of the day, I have a franchise to run, and my franchise hurts on so many levels from a business standpoint, a personnel standpoint, whenever I can't focus on my franchise and I get dragged into other things. So, no, it's you're spot on, Sam. It's people can ask questions, but I don't know what it is from egos and all that or whatever it might be, or, hey, I did this in this business. And that was my point with Tommy earlier. The question that you asked is, I can't tell you how many times I've seen time and time and time again that these team owners will make decisions in their football business that they would never make in a million years in their other business. But since it's football, they're just going to take all common sense and toss it to the side, and that's where people get in trouble.
Would completely agree. TJ, I know you got to get out of here soon, so I figured I'd let you ask your last question and then kind of do your exit there.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, again, something that you do well, so I did want to bring it up. The importance of community backing, not just with having local sponsorships, or local partnerships rather, but also being in the community. People seeing your team and having that connection. How important is that for the success of your team as well? Latching onto the community.
It's massive. It's massive, and like I said, there's only one way I know how to do stuff. And again, not to sound bragging or whatever, I think the results are not only on the field, but in the stands and everything else. What was it? The team played at the arena for 7 years before I bought the team. They never had a sellout, 2019 was my first year. 2020, we know what happened. 2021, there was restrictions. Well, 2022, we started selling out games, and it's because of the stuff that you talked about, TJ. I tell our players all the time, our coaching staff, everybody that is affiliated with the organization, that this community provides them an opportunity to pursue their goals, their dreams, their hopes, their desires. And so we are going to give back, or we're going to become part of the community as well that supports us. And what's really crazy about that, TJ, is whenever you begin to do that, and I'll tell you, look, there's my dad's a veteran. Okay. I lived in Alaska for a long period of time. My dad's a veteran. So I have a massive appreciation for active, retired, reserve people, first responders, all of them across the board. We do a Heroes Night every single year. All right. And there are certain things that we do with certain nonprofits in the community, jersey auctions, tickets we give away, all these things that we do. And I can tell you that if we never made a single dollar on any of the stuff that we did, I would still do it because it's something that I'm passionate about. But ironically enough, whenever the community sees you doing those kinds of things and your involvement and your participation and the passion in which we do those type of game day events, the community supports you even more. Well, then when they support you even more, it has a direct effect on your bottom line. And so they're having a positive impact on your bottom line. Guess what? You've got more money and resources to pour into doing that kind of stuff. So you pour in even more. Well, then when you pour in even more, they give you even more. And I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. And I would still do it if there was no direct benefit out of that. But that's just one of many, 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 many examples of the things that we do. And it's part of our success. And so the day and age, specifically in this sport and probably in this industry across the board, the day and age where your players and all that. I mean, heck, look, NFL franchises do it, Major League Baseball teams do it. I mean, there is a sincere, I'm sure, desire to want to give back and be positive examples for people. But let's be real. There is a direct business benefit of that. I mean, how often? And so I think what separates us, TJ, is how often, or what's the result you get out of people of, okay, I guess I've got to get up and go do this, versus getting people that want to get up and go do that. And we get the people that want to, just like in the process, as they like to call it, from game film to working out to studying and everything else, being involved in the community is part of that process. You have to fall in love with the process is what you have to do. We are incredibly passionate about that process. And again, that's what's led to our success. On the field and off the field. There's no secret sauce to what it is that we do. It just, everybody wants the results, the AJ Brown, ripped arms, the Saquon Barkley thighs and all that, but they're not dedicated to the process of getting there. So
couldn't have said it better. TJ, thanks so much for your time this morning, man. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And we'll
TJ, I appreciate it. I'll still give you the shout out. You're the first guy on the show not the first. You're you were the first guy on the bandwagon for us. So I'm never going to let anybody tell you any different, man. Just so you know. All right. I appreciate it, man. Okay.
Thank you. It was great talking to you, Ricky. And guys, I'll see you next week.
Thanks, TJ.
See you next week. Krish, do you have any questions for Ricky?
Yeah, I think my final question for you is, a big topic of discussion is player pay. How much is a salary cap, for you, like a foundation of success, you would say?
So at the end of the day, Tommy talked about this, and that there are teams within leagues that have certain operational budgets. I would love to be able to pay players more. Okay. I'd love to be able to do that. And I'll just call it what it is. The rumor is in Omaha, we pay people and this and that and everything else, and I don't think it was last year, it was the year before, we had all these expansion teams, and I had more rookie players on my roster than any other team in the league, and I think we were second in the league last year behind one other brand new franchise, and so so the player pay, it is what it is. And I'm just going to tell you, it's, people say certain things happen. There's so many ways around it. What people can do. I can tell you, I've done this for 20 plus years, Krish, I would love to pay players more, because if I can pay them more, I have more control on them. You know what I mean? You're going to go do this. You're going to go do that. You're going to do that. A lot of guys have to have part-time jobs or full-time jobs or other stuff. And so they have other responsibilities outside of just Omaha Beef football. And I recognize those responsibilities. I don't have the control on the things that it is that I do, look, I'll just say this, Krish, in regards to I've heard of organizations, they go out and they get sponsors to go on ahead and pay the players directly, so they find a way to get around the salary cap rules. I don't know what's going on with this Kawhi Leonard, Steve Ballmer deal right now with the Clippers, and the thing going on where they were paying them this money through whatever, I know for a fact there's stuff that goes on, and we're oblivious to it if we don't acknowledge that. I'll tell you right now, I mean, it's coming down the pipe. I'm all about players and NIL and everything else and stuff like that. I'm all about that. But the money that, like I think Coke makes core water, if I'm not mistaken. So let's just say Coca-Cola is sponsoring. I'm a Miami Hurricane fan. Just going to tell you guys, don't hold it against me, but that's my college football team. And Carson Beck, say Coca-Cola is sponsoring Carson Beck, and they're giving him the money that he's getting in his NIL deal. Well, in the past, that money would go to the college, and the college would do whatever. Well, now Coca-Cola is paying it directly to Carson Beck is what they're doing. Well, eventually, the college is not getting this money. We're already seeing it already. Programs are starting to go away. Things starting to get taken away. They're trying to find different ways to live in this. It's almost like I'm going to show my age here. I mean, I turned 50 years old a couple of weeks ago. It's almost like the nuclear arms race back in the 80s when you had USSR and the United States. And, you know, if the United States built 100 nuclear warheads, Russia built 200, and the U.S. built 1 million tanks. I mean, it just went back and forth, back and forth. Whenever, at the end of the day, taking money out of the business and people doing what they're doing, it's going to affect the business is what it's going to do. And so, Krish, in regards to the salary cap and everything else, I'm all about giving guys more money, wanting to pay them more money and everything else. This is a very tough business, as Tommy said earlier. I mean, I love what I do. There's a lot of other things I could do and make way more money than what it is that I'm doing, but I love this. You know, I tried stepping away for a little bit and kind of went crazy and got back involved in it. You know, I'm all about trying to continue to find ways to grow. And as we grow, we are able to do things of that, such as player compensation and pay, Krish. I mean, it's I don't know who it was. I don't want to butcher the guy's name, the social media guy from Mass. What's his name?
Figueroa.
AJ?
Adrian Figueroa.
I mean, Adrian hit it spot on. I mean, in leagues, there are, I mean, I'll tell you the difference between the IFL and other leagues is top to bottom across the board. Like it would be, I'm going to use college football. Okay. I mean, some of the worst teams in the SEC are probably some of the best teams in the ACC or whatever, you know. In other leagues that are out there, there's the tone setters, the 3 or 4, you know. Is that the sugar-free, is that the watermelon one you're drinking, Sam?
Not sugar-free, but it's definitely watermelon.
They all taste great with vodka, just so you know, man. I'm a big Red Bull fan myself, you know. But, no, I mean, it's, I mean, Krish, I'm kind of bouncing around here a little bit. What needs to happen as an industry and as a league, the standard of what the premier teams within a league do needs to be uniform across the board. And whenever they do that, a lot of these things that we're talking about will kind of begin to take care of themselves. But it's kind of like, just some people aren't focused on things as they should. I mean, look, I'm not trying to throw shade at any other team, but you guys are talking about Corpus. I mean, we all know Corpus spent the majority of their money on their player payroll. You know, if they would have spent that money on marketing or other issues and stuff like that, that would have developed the business side aspect of it. That could have made them profitable on the business side, that which would have gave them more ability to do stuff for the players. So what separates us in Omaha, Krish, is all the additional things that we do. I mean, and it sounds very like you almost expect it to happen, but like we have trainers at every single practice. Other teams don't. You know, our players have cryo and red light, and they got physical therapy, and they got Normatec. Heck, they got these IV things they stick in them. They go in hyperbaric chambers. Our guys are fed, 10 to 15 times a week. Our guys are paid on time. I mean, all that stuff, that's what separates us from everybody else, And so whenever we start talking to players, Krish, well, hey, I can get $50 more if I go to that place. Well, dude, if it is worth $50 for you to go there instead of come play for us, we're talking to the wrong kind of guy then, I mean, we really are. I mean, because I like to think that what we offer and what it is that we do is what really separates us from everybody else. So at the end of the day, you got the salary cap. Omaha follows the salary cap. I will not be Barry Bonds. That's all I'm going to tell you. I will not be Barry Bonds, where if something happens, and let's just say hypothetically, Krish, let's just say if I was dumb enough to break the rules, well, then all of a sudden our 3 years of not losing a game is called into question. Our championships are called into question. I mean, all that stuff. That just doesn't happen in Omaha, and it's not going to happen in Omaha.
So since we're touching on the salary cap, I wanted to ask, I mean, what's the max a player can be paid in the NAL then?
The max a player can be paid is $600 a game.
Okay, so a respectable wage in terms of arena football, I would say. So you kind of elaborated on it there, and I wanted to kind of highlight this a little bit. So basically, from what I'm hearing from an outside perspective, is that you focus on the amenities side of things to provide opportunity, or, benefits for players to come to your team versus another team. So you don't necessarily take the money and invest it in the salary, but you're providing a situation where that guy has everything at his fingertips that he needs to be as efficient as a football player and as worry-free as a football player as possible.
100%. And again, I'm going to continue to pick on Coach Davis because he was on here last week. I was even putting comments on there that he was stating facts. I mean, look, that's what they do there in Vegas as well. Never mind the fact that, hey, if you try to convince players to go to Vegas, it's a lot easier than convincing them to go to Alaska like I had to do at one point in time. But I think that if you take a pulse across the board of all the teams that are successful in this industry, regardless of what league they play in, I bet you probably 85% of them are going to be checking the same kind of boxes across the board. So the stuff that Coach Davis was talking about last week, I knew exactly what he was talking about. I mean, and he's spot on that. I'm not going to disagree with the guy.
Makes sense. Krish, do you have any more questions? All right, I've got an interesting one. So how do you pick a location for a team? So I know you were, as you mentioned before, you were involved in a team in Alaska. You've been involved with the Salina Liberty. You've been involved with the Dodge City teams. Now you're with Omaha. How did you determine which locations made the most sense to put a team?
So I think, first and foremost, it's as Tommy said, I mean, it's a business at the end of the day, first and foremost. And so you need to, I can't tell you how many times I'll see teams launch franchises without even inquiring what workers' comp's going to be within the state, who's messaging me here? Gotcha. I can't tell you. I mean, so it's what the operational budget is in Omaha versus what it would be in Dodge City versus Salina versus other places. That's going to vary. And so I'm a guy that kind of reverse engineers everything, like if this is where I got to operate at in order to be profitable, and because that number is going to vary from organization to organization. I mean, outside of the team in Dallas, the Metra is, I don't know how many millions of people live there. I mean, we're 1 million plus people in Omaha. So what it takes to be successful in Omaha, we spend a lot more money on stuff as far as marketing and advertising than other teams. And so identifying where it is you think you need to be at and then working your way backwards, you kind of go from there. And Corey Cunningham, I don't know Corey at all, but like I said, we're all in the same industry. Corey hit it spot on. Never mistake the fact of being in a place that wants you there versus people that are just like, I'm doing my job. I got to book events. Don't know if I really want you here because whatever's happened in the past, so on and so forth. I mean, there's Sam Adams stories from back in the day in Cincinnati and everything else and stuff like that. Corey found a situation where it was in an environment where he was wanted. I don't say that they're rolling out the red carpet, but you have an arena that is looking for a partner because these are partnerships at the end of the day, Sorry, my kid in the background's coughing. I'm on daddy daycare like you are at times, Sam, so
currently.
Yeah, there you go. So no, I mean, it's there's no one solid answer for that, but being honest with your business and working your way backward from there, because I mean, if you gotta be X number of dollars and it doesn't make sense, well then, if you get X number of dollars, you don't think you have the potential to capture that, then all you're going to be doing is writing checks at the end of the day. And if you're good writing checks, which some people are, hey, go for it and pull the trigger then. But otherwise, go the other way. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. There's people that have had tons of money, like way more money than I ever have. I mean, heck, Mike Parnell owned a team and he founded a company called Oakley. I'm sure you guys have heard about. And I've done this whenever, what was it, Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas owned the team in New York. And I mean, there's been a lot of people that I've been around that have had way more zeros in their bank account. And I don't care who they are and how much money they have. Eventually they get sick and tired of losing money and they shut it down or do something different. And that's what happens, So I don't think people are, so your question, Sam, and I'm really dragging some of this out, is be real with yourself and what the expectations are and what's determined upon success. And again, I it's because it was on the show last week. I feel like I'm in the Mike Davis fan club, but Coach Davis is going to agree with me. What they pay for housing in their area versus what I pay in Omaha. I got to be real with that. And so are they, and they've got certain things that they do and arrangements they line out, and we're both successful. Success isn't the same across the board for everybody. So that's what I tell people.
Makes sense. We have a great question here from Off the Wall about the conversations you've had with prospective owners. He said, what do these conversations look like with people who come to you wanting to start a team? Is there a prerequisite checklist you have before you even start to take those conversations seriously?
Absolutely. I don't know what it is about people that just think that, hey, they can get in this for $10,000 and they're good to go or whatever. And hey, I'm going to go out and apply for I want to go out and get a credit card. I literally had one person, hey, I got a credit card and we're going to try to run the team off this credit card with a $20,000 limit. I'm like, dude, you got to be kidding me, So I would say that, you don't ever be like rude to people. You don't ever want to be rude to people. But if somebody calls, just like if somebody calls at McDonald's, for example, I'm interested in starting a McDonald's franchise. They'll tell you just a little bit of information, but hey, here's our expansion packet. Here's the application, and this packet's going to line out a lot of questions that you might, or answers the question that you might have. And at that point in time, if you're interested in going forward, submit the application and we'll go from there. I can tell you that for as many applications as we send out, I am not exaggerating. For every 100 applications we submit, and I've been doing this a long time, we are lucky to get one completed and sent back. Oftentimes it's missing stuff, it's incomplete, it's not here, it's not there. And you just get to the point of telling people that, look, until you get this completed and submitted, then I can't help you out, And we had some conversation about this at the league meetings. We're probably going to begin the process of there being an application fee involved as well, because if you're really wanting to get involved in doing this, I'm just telling you, like all these other businesses, not that we're a McDonald's or whatever, and we're not the only league that does it. But, if you're serious about looking into this and investing some time and some energy, you're going to be understanding that the league's going to be doing the exact same thing and there being an application fee associated with that. But I can tell you that literally for every 100 emails I would send out with an application of people that are interested, I got one completed back out of every 100. Oftentimes the financials are missing, and so there are thresholds. There are thresholds that you have that all leagues have. There are thresholds, and I can tell you that. Hey, as a league, the NL, we've made mistakes in the past. We have made mistakes in the past by teams not starting, not finishing, and everything else. And as a league, the NAL, we have adjusted our threshold where that threshold is up. I can tell you that every team in the 2026 season is going to finish. If you want to timestamp it or whatever like that, and that's where we need to get at. And that's a hats off to our board of directors and the team owners that we have. So we've adjusted those thresholds ourselves, where we don't have issues, we don't have problems, because we've had those mistakes before in the past. And so, yeah. And whenever those teams go away, the ones that are stuck around like us, we have to answer all the questions, and those aren't fun questions to answer.
I can only imagine. And speaking of a question that may or may not be fun to answer, you talked about the teams that didn't start and mistakes made in the past. So I have to ask, the North Texas Bulls at one point were admitted into the NAL a couple seasons ago. I believe it was 2024, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. Yep.
And then they kind of went away for a couple seasons, and now they're back as the Dallas Bulls. So looking back on what had happened with them previously, how did you get to a point where you believed that they were a good, solid addition in 2026?
So they say the definition of insanity is do the same thing over and over, expecting a different outcome. In the past, the league would have, I mean, I'm not going to talk, I'll talk specifics, you know. The league had requirements of, hey, you have to have your letter of credit posted by October 1st. You have to have this done by October 1st. Like that was like an actual deadline we had for some stuff. Well, where we got in trouble, Sam, is we'd go on ahead. Now we'll talk about the Bulls in a second, but we would announce teams. That would go on ahead and, hey, I'm going to do this and this and this. They meet all the checklist of things, you know, hey, they're going to be good to go. They've got all these things in place. Well, then October 1st comes around. Well, then they don't meet those deadlines. But we've already announced them. We've already done the schedule with them on there and everything else, you know. Like I'm going to just tell you right now, I mean, Sam Adams, everybody knows Sam Adams has money. You've been in this business long enough, you know. So it'd be like Sam Adams committing, hey, come October 1st, I'm going to have my letter of credit in place. I'm going to write a check for $100,000. Well, then October 1st comes around. Well, then he wouldn't write the check, you know. And that's a notorious thing of what's happened with several of his franchises, you know. Or I'll even go as far as I probably shouldn't say it, but I'll air it out, you know. I mean, we got a letter. Well, I won't say the franchise. We got a letter of credit from a franchise. And that franchise submitted a falsified letter of credit. The bank is going after them. You know, I mean, there's fraudulent activity that this member team did in the past that the bank's going after them. The FBI's called and everything else because what they did is fraud on a massive level, you know. So as a league, we've gotten smarter about how we're going to do things. And so with Doc in North Texas back in 2024, his was an arena issue with arena construction of some stuff that was going on to where they had a timeline of when they were going to be completed and they were going to have these things done, and it was not done, you know. And so, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I mean, Doc had to bow out and everything else. I mean, he had to come up with alternative plans, and that's why they went away. And so, like I heard about this with the IFL and the Sioux Falls Storm that they were looking at potentially going to another arena, but the arena wasn't going to be done in time. They couldn't guarantee dates or whatever. So, I mean, they made the smart decision for the Storm for not playing whatever season that was going to be, you know? And so, like, for us, it's before we announce anybody, Sam, I mean, I can tell you right now, when we announce somebody, they have all of their stuff done. Commissioner Eichart has been given their letter of credit. They have been given their workers' comp insurance. They have been given their general liability insurance. I'm not going to say who. I shouldn't say. There's more I was going to say. We've had teams try to do fraudulent activity even this year, Sam, that, again, we're not announcing those teams until everything is done because we have learn from our past mistakes. And I hope I don't get in trouble and violate my NDA by saying all that. But I can tell you that a guy that's been doing this a very long time and people that have been in league meetings with me, when we sit down at league meetings every single year and they go around the room, they talk about goals and expectations. Whenever they get to me, hey, my goal is that everybody that's in this room is back the following year, you know. But if history is going to repeat itself, somebody in this room right now is not going to be here next year, you know. And Sam, I think I'm batting 1,000 for that, you know. I'm batting 1,000 for that never happening. And that was even back in my IFL days, Sam. I can tell you right now that everybody that is in the NAL board of directors room will play the 2026 season, and they will be back, I'm positive, for 2027. I have never, I mean, it's not, I'm feeling, I'm hoping, I'm thinking we have set our threshold in place to where we have got ourselves covered, where we're not going to have the problems that we've had in the past.
Glad to hear it. You know, obviously we're big proponents of all these leagues finding success and growing and building the game, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day, right?
Absolutely.
Man, I totally blanked a question while I was sitting here listening to you talk just now. I had another.
I'm not drawing out some long answers, man. I'm sorry, buddy.
No, I love it, and honestly, that's what this was for. You know, I mean, we're we only understand so much of the business side as fans, and I think some of this knowledge is extremely valuable to those that watch the sport, because it might give you a little bit more context why teams operate the way they do and why we're not seeing guys paid $1 million a year and stuff like that. It's just not feasible at this level yet. But that's also why our support for these teams are so important. Go buy a t-shirt from your local team, go see a game, buy season tickets, if you can afford to, all that stuff, because that stuff matters at the end of the day for these teams. So, that's why we're here. We kind of wanted to shed some light, and hopefully, prospective owners can come here and watch this video, this episode that we've been able to assemble. Thank you to everybody who's been on today, and look at some of the ways that they can be more creative to keep their team afloat long term, and hopefully make this whole industry a little bit more stable. But backing up a little bit, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't the CIF have all 8 teams 2 years in a row? Was it different ownerships though?
Different ownerships and different dynamics. They did not. No, they did not. So unfortunately, they did not. So and I'll say it right now. I don't think there's any. I won't get in trouble for saying this, but we have our first expansion application for 2027, and it's already approved, Sam.
Wow.
Again, it's there's a lot of things that different teams within different leagues that are successful. And I talked about Fisher's Freight earlier. They had a very long runway, and I think that runway contributed to a lot of their success. We have a team, and I'm sure we'll be announcing it before the season even kicks off. Just save teams for 27 if they're applying now. Brian, I actually just saw your comment there, Brian. We already have our first expansion application that is approved. Deposits already been made, money's in the bank, and everything else for 2027, Sam. And it's going to fit us a great geographic fit, and they know what they're doing, which is great. But it's going to be that kind of stability. You guys had asked the question earlier if we're ever going to get back to what it was back in its heyday. And I think Tommy said at one point in time they were talking about arena or indoor football being the 5th largest major, or the fifth major league sport in the United States. We can't get there until, as an industry, we raise the bar, we raise the standard on what it is that we're doing. And I can tell you that, again, I know that the NAL is not the only league out there, but the NAL is doing its part to continue to raise that standard for the industry for not only 2026, but beyond that as well. And it's something I'm excited about.
Definitely. I'm excited to hear there's teams already applying for 2027. Like you mentioned before, a reason why Tulsa was so successful, Fishers was so successful coming out, is they had that long runway. Same thing with the Albuquerque team. We've known they've been coming for a little over a year. We didn't have the logo or the GM and stuff like that, but now we do. So I think that long runway helps tremendously. So you're saying you expect an announcement on that team before the season?
It's going to be their call. I don't know why they wouldn't, Sam. It's going to be their benefit to go ahead and make the announcement. But, Sam, they were in attendance at our league meetings in Vegas a couple of weeks ago. That's how serious this ownership group is on doing things the right way. And by having those type of partners within the league, that's what's going to elevate us across the board. It's going to raise our standard as a league. And so, again, we've got a lot of great things happening, and I'm going to continue to kind of build on that. Learn from our mistakes in the past, because we've made them. There's no point in dancing around or shining. We've made them, and what are we going to do differently to where we don't either we change the outcome or we change the results, and we've changed those across the board. And that's really a hat off to Brandon Eichhardt and the other board members as well for adhering to that standard and continue to follow it.
I would agree. Well, we sat here a lot longer than I was expecting when I initially told you 20 to 30 minutes. So I really appreciate all the answers.
I'm long-winded, Sam. I apologize. I'm long.
No, that's okay. Like I said, the whole point of this was to get the information out there. And you guys, everybody who came on today, I feel provided a lot of value to what we were trying to accomplish. And so I really appreciate everybody who came on, your time included. Like you mentioned before, every minute away from the franchise is a minute that the franchise needs you more. So we don't want to take up too much more of your time.
I gotta have one hot take from Krish, man. Krish is always good for what is it? Krish says what's on his mind. And man, you're going light on me, Krish. I mean, I don't know if I'm like getting on your good side or what, man. You're kind of going light on me, So,
oh, you open the door, Krish. Hot take of the week.
No, I mean I have some things to say during the NAL segment if we can get to that, but.
Oh, your guys' show is still going on. Wow, you guys are doing a marathon today. Holy cow, man.
Well,
you guys are doing a marathon.
I think that was a little bit of miscommunication because I thought we were about to wrap it up.
Yeah.
There you go, Krish. Hey, Krish, here, do your NAL segment then or whatever, and I'll confirm, deny, or collaborate what it is that you're on your hot take here then,
I mean, I think my main hot take of the week is Pueblo won't make the playoffs this year. So that's my number one hot take, and they won't be over 500.
Wow.
Krish, Beaumont taught us an invaluable lesson last year to not underestimate anybody, shout out to Coach Solo, former Omaha Beef player as well. I'm liking all these guys getting these promotions and these positions that have got a tie to the organization. But I don't know Coach Brooks very well, but I know Coach Solo, and competed on the field as a coach twice now, and he is undefeated against me. So. And I got to accept it, you know what I mean? And I hope I'm pretty sure. I know I saw Coach Kane on here earlier. I'm sure Coach Negron is watching this and everything else. But right now, Coach Solo has BTA to the Omaha Beef. You know what I mean? And there's nothing we can say or do about it. And so, not going to underestimate anybody, because whenever we do, that's when it gets you in problems. So
yeah, no, I mean I see what you're saying. I mean, Beaumont's situation was different. They had a veteran coaching staff. I mean, you're doing co-head coaches, and I know you think Tay is Herm Edwards, Sam. I know that's your boy, but the reality is you look at the guys they signed, like Daenerys Antoine. He was a really good linebacker in the CIF. He can't play zone now. He's washed up, so he's a good running back, but he's not a good linebacker. And then Jeff Luke, he's a good rotational player. He's average. So the first two signings are uninspiring, so they can only go up from there. So my concern is like how they view those first two signings if they're like faces of the franchise. Because if that's the best, then I'm not sold on that.
And Krish, I don't disagree with you, but I'll say this. I mean, what was it? In 2024. No, I'm sorry. 2023 is my lone exception. But the other years that I've won championships, we won, like I'll say in 2021, the team we played against, we won the championship in 2021 with two players that they released during the season ended up coming and playing for us and beating their old team and winning the championship. So I don't disagree with you. Look, Krish, I used to question your ability to break down film. I thought you were approaching it more as a fan, but again, but over the years, listening to your explanations and you talking about stuff, I'm like, hey, this guy knows more than what I thought about. You know what I mean? So, Krish, me making the mistake of not knowing what you might know about football, that was a mistake on my part. I can tell you right now, you're giving us your opinion, which I'll always respect. We in Omaha, we will not underestimate anybody. So, but again, I know. I'd like to just say, for once, maybe people pick us to finish last. That way the expectation isn't there, and then whatever we do from there up. But at the same time, somebody picks us to finish last, I'm going to be walking into that office with the coaching staff. I'm going to be giving them bulletin board material too. So it comes with the turf, so.
Love it. It must be orange turf that it comes with. Brian says, who is Krish picking for the playoffs in 2026 then?
But Krish, I would love to let you answer that, but Brian, how can he do that when all the teams aren't even announced yet? You know what I mean?
I mean, in my opinion, I think I've said this and I'll say it again. If Colorado adds another coach to that coaching staff, I mean, it's up for the rest of the league. That roster is so talented. I mean, Bissett Woodley, I heard he's coming back. So, I mean, he's going to be the best receiver in the league. And then Andre Sale, he's my lead. If he does come back, he's my lead to win MVP. He's by far the best passer in the league. So
Krish, I agree with you, man. I mean, it was what was it? We played Colorado back-to-back weeks this year. We played in their place, won at the very end of the game. We were trailing there for a while. Actually, we got up and fell behind, and we came back and won. And then that playoff game, I mean, again, shout out to Tommy Armstrong, man. Tommy Armstrong has played a lot of games for us and has had some incredible games. But that playoff game against Colorado, I mean, that's probably the best football game he's ever played for us as a quarterback. And, I mean, I think Negron would know it was like 14 for 16 passing with whatever 5 touchdowns and another 80 yards rushing with 2 touchdowns or whatever. And that game was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I mean, it's we've gotten very lucky against Colorado on numerous occasions. And yeah, I mean, make no mistake about it. I mean, it's how do I want to say this? I'll use analogies. We're kind of like the Kansas City Chiefs. We've been on a run here. We went to the Super Bowl and lost, but Colorado, man, is like the Buffalo Bills, the Baltimore Ravens. There's a team you don't sleep on them. I mean, what Coach Shaw and Tony and them are doing, it's 100% the real deal, man. I mean, there's other guys, Hammond and Gandy and Newbold. I mean, those guys are stacked, man. I mean, they are a incredibly tough conference, and so. The schedule will always be built around geographic stuff. And I mean, whether I like it or not, I'm playing Colorado at least 2 times a year. I'm playing Sioux City 2 times a year. I mean, that's 4 playoff games out of our 10-game schedule right there. You know what I mean? Those are very important matchups. So I'd agree, Krish.
Can't wait to see you guys come play in Colorado or Pueblo this season. I somehow feel I have a very big advantage on the rest of the country to be able to see every team play this season. So I'm excited about that. Yeah, Brian says, but to say Colorado to be sub 500 with 2 players.
Oh, Brian, he's talking about 2 separate teams. There's Pueblo, Colorado, and we're talking about the Colorado Spartans. So
he meant Pueblo.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, just double checking, Brian. My bad. Just double checking.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go too on with this, but the co-head coach thing, I know, and I know what you're about to say. You're going to say, oh, well, Dixie and Rob Keefe did it in 2023 in Bay Area, right? We're not going to compare kids to adults, right? There's
here comes the Krish part that I love watching here, man. Here comes the Krish part.
I respect both them guys, but it's going to be a battle for sure.
I actually wasn't gonna.
Probably a good thing I wasn't drinking water. I probably would have spit it out, But anyway, so
I definitely wasn't gonna mention that because we've already had this conversation off camera. But yeah, I think it's a unique dynamic. I understand why everybody's concerned. I get it. I'm not as concerned, but I've already got like you mentioned. I've got a lot of belief in Tay, and I also have a lot of belief in Lisa's decision making so far because I haven't seen any reason not to. So. I'm excited to see what comes of Pueblo, and I think they're going to have a lot of support, so I can say that much so far. But any final thoughts, Krish? Anything else crazy to say before we get out of here?
No, I mean, I'll just tease some news coming. I'm going to hold off on a name, but there's a prominent IFL head coach that's leaving their coaching position to take an offensive coordinator position in the league. And so someone's going from west to east. So you can take a guess who that is and be on the lookout for that information coming out soon.
So you say there's a prominent head coach leaving his team, going to be the offensive coordinator for a team on the East Coast.
Yep, I have heard that same information actually. So,
well, I mean, like Billy Back's going to come to mind. I'll just throw his name out there. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's just off the top of my head. I mean, Billy's an offensive guru. So, but anyways, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you have to kind of wonder about Tulsa. Obviously, they got an opening at offensive coordinator all of a sudden.
No, but he said a team from is Tulsa in the East?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm thinking more geographic East or whatever. I mean, speaking of Tulsa, hats off to former Beef coach Marvin Jones. He got an extension there and stuff like that. Definitely happy for the guy. Guy's just an incredible football player. A lot of stuff of what we even do today is a direct result of him. Working with a guy that was coached by Bill Parcells, you're just foolish if you don't incorporate some of that stuff into your franchise. So big props for Marvin. Happy that he got that extension there in Tulsa.
Absolutely. Excited to see what he can do with the future. I think Tulsa is one of the great kind of example franchises. He says Tampa Bay, Brian says. Any final?
Man, like I told you, man, you know, Jawad, again, we have top 2 owners if you think about Ricky and Jawad, in my opinion. I think Jawad is one of the best in the industry, in my opinion. So whatever decision he makes for the football team, I'm going to support him. So that's it.
Any final thoughts from you for the show, Ricky?
No, I kind of dragged out my exit here for about another 30 minutes here. Apologize. So
you're good. You're good. Like I said, this show kind of, honestly, it was supposed to be an hour show, and we've just kind of let it go off the rails this season because we've had such awesome engagement from everybody watching, and honestly, a lot of times it's, you know, you and Mike Davis and other team owners and coaches and stuff, and honestly, it's been awesome to build this and get to the point where we're at today.
Seen Coach O'Neill at all, man? He's normally on here, you know. What's Coach O'Neill doing, you know?
Exactly.
So
I'll have to give him a hard time that I haven't seen him in the comments recently. So there's only one way we can play this out now, though. So we're gonna go ahead and play this one.